Test. Good morning, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the Russell County Board of Supervisors, November the 2nd, 2024 in the Russell County Conference Room. I'd like to start off with a call of order and roll call. Andrew Hensley.
Here.
Tara Dye.
Here.
Oh, I'm sorry. Luann Wallace.
Here.
David Eaton.
Here.
Rebecca Dye.
Here.
Rebecca's here.
I'm here.
Nate Kaiser.
Here.
And Steve Brady.
Here.
Sir, you have court.
Thank you. First of all, if you would stand for the invocation and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Let us pray. Father God, Lord, we love you, we thank you, and we praise you today, Father. Father, forgive us for where we fail you each and every day, and Lord, we thank you for allowing us to be a part of our local government. Father, touch this nation this week, especially, Father, as we have our elections this week, and let your will be done. Help us be more like you, lead, guide, and direct us in everything that we do. In your name we pray. Amen.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First order of business is to approve the agenda, and I've been asked to modify it just a wee bit. We'd like to move the presentations in front of the public hearing. So we'll get our presenters out of here so they'll sit through the public hearings.
Mr. Chair, I have also something I'd like to add. Okay. We have somebody that I think I was told maybe due to illness or something that needs to come off of the TAC committee, tourism. Mm-hmm. So I'd like to add that to, I guess, number 3.
Item number 3, we'll add that to the end of item number 3, tourism. Anything else? We'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda as amended. Have a motion. Have a second. Have a second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, like sign. Okay. Okay, Missy, you're up. Or Zach.
I'll introduce Missy here in a minute. The last time I was before this board was 25 years ago. Wasn't the Commonwealth's attorney then, obviously. I was 15 years old, and there was a salvage ordinance that was coming in, and I don't know, anybody know my dad, Cooney, he had about 20 cars at his house at the time, and he wasn't a public speaker, so he asked me to. It didn't pass that day, so he was happy, but it's a privilege to be back before this board here for the work program. It is by far one of the best things that my office has the privilege of working with. Falls under my office. There's not many government programs that save the county money, and this is one of them. This year, the work program has more than paid for itself just in jail costs alone. Right now, there's currently about 25, 26 members in the work program. They're out in the community. You guys are well aware of it. If y'all have a project for a nonprofit organization, and they're going to speak to you, I'm sure. They do a great job. Last week, they were in my office repainting for the courthouse construction. We went yesterday and looked at it. It looks phenomenal. It's just it's a great way for nonviolent offenders, low-risk nonviolent offenders, to not be incarcerated, and they would be during that period of time. And I think the jail cost is about $55 a day now. So I mean, you can imagine some of the people who are sentenced up to a year in the work program. And it wouldn't run near as well. Other counties have tried it, and some of them have been very successful. I think Russell County was the first to do it, if I'm not mistaken. And the reason it works so well is because of Missy Carter. She's a great employee. She does a great job monitoring everybody. I don't know how she keeps up with all she does, and I really appreciate her. And I'm going to turn it over to her to tell you more about it.
Thank you, Zach.
Thank you, Zach.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Get my stuff together. I want to correct one thing that Zach did say. He said there was 25 in the work program now, and there's actually 25 with drug court, recovery court, and the work program together. So, sorry.
It's okay.
First thing I want to do is talk about my staff. You know, Zach, he's a pretty good boss. He leaves me alone, let me do my thing, and I like that. I have my staff here. I have Mike Stutes. He's the surveillance officer for the recovery court, does all of that work. And then I have Jeff Kaiser and Bob Gibson, who are both job site supervisors with the work program. And what they do is take all the jobs that we set up, they take the guys out, and the women too, and supervise the work that they're doing and make sure they stay busy, and so I don't fuss on them. I also have a peer recovery specialist. Her name is Alicia Yates. She couldn't be here today, but she was a graduate of our drug court program, and now she works for us and does an excellent job. She does keeps the alumni group of all of our graduates together, and plans monthly activities that they do, and it just keeps a good group, strong group together, and we appreciate all she does. With the litter pickup program, some off-duty deputies help with that, and the ones we have right now that supervise the work crew is Lieutenant Clinton Collins, Sergeant Charlie Saltz, and deputies Peyton Stevens, Jamie Fletcher, Thomas Gilbert, and Cameron Shelton. And those change as the deputies change their rotations throughout the year. It'll shift, and there'll be other deputies that come on, and these guys might not be doing it as much, but those are who we have right now working with us. Speaking of litter, I know a couple of months ago at our meeting, there was a lot of questions because we had left bags down. And we did, and we're sorry, and we're not going to do it no more. But we didn't have a vehicle, and at that time, we didn't have a lot of deputies that were helping with this due to their schedule change and things. So we've got all that taken care of, and if there's any problems that anybody has, they can get my number or my email or something off the website and get it to my attention, and we'll take care of it as soon as we know about it. During 2023 and 2024, these guys sitting right here in this section are all in the work program. Some are in drug court. Some have graduated drug court. Some have graduated work program. Between them, they picked up 20,129 bags of litter to yesterday in this county. So yes, we did leave a few hundred bags down for longer than we wanted to, but that's a lot of trash to pick up, and we appreciate all that they do. If you will give everybody a copy of that, please. Zach's bringing around our numbers, because I know that's what you guys like to hear. So he's going to give you that. And I put on here last year's totals, and so far up to the last of October, the totals for this year. And the jail cost savings just for CWP is $352,000 and change during this time. And it's about the same, a little less for recovery court. That's a hard change to make, but we're doing our best to save recovery court. with the community service hours, the way we base that is at a minimum wage rate. And that's been $639,000 of work that these guys have done for this county. I think that's phenomenal. I don't think that you would have got a paint crew to go in and paint Zach's office in 1 week cheaper than you got the work program to do it. I feel confident with a lot of the jobs that I tell you that I don't know how to price construction jobs or the work that we do, but I feel confident that it would be a whole lot more than what minimum wage rate would be. And also, I know last year, I think it was Steve that had asked about numbers, how many people in each program. So I went ahead and added that at the bottom so that you can see how many people were in the programs and how many were successful. And then we also count the jail cost savings for the people that aren't successful until they go back to jail. But you can see the few numbers that most people are successful now. I think we've tweaked the problems, and the people that come into the program, they know what is expected of them from day one, and they do it, and they do a fine job with it. So we don't have as many terminations as we used to, just because of the understanding that they have when they get there, I believe. So with that, I want to talk about a few of the jobs that we've done this past year. The moving furniture is a big job. And the thing with us is, when I tell you these, you have to add either 2 or 3 times to it. Because Lonzo makes us move it once, and then we have to move it down the hall, and then we have to move it around the block. So we end up moving people in and out of their offices, and it's kind of funny, it's a joke, but we do move people a lot. We've helped at the library moving them, and the sheriff's office, the Commonwealth Attorney's office. We moved them out here, and I think we'll be moving them back pretty soon too. The clerk's offices, both district and general and circuit court. We've helped VCTA moving things at their offices, the voter registration, the circuit court judges. And I'm sure I'm forgetting some people, because if they need us, we just go. And I might have forgot them, but I know we move those. And painting. During the summer months when the kids aren't in school, we'll go we try to get a few schools in each area each summer and help them with some projects. And this past summer, we painted a total of 19 classrooms at both Lebanon High School and Castlewood Elementary. We painted the cafeteria at Honecker Elementary, the band room and the gym at Lebanon High School, Oak Grove Community Center. We painted at the Word of Victory Church, the Commonwealth Attorney's office. We painted the dugouts and other jobs up at Clinch River Little League. And on Monday and Tuesday, while the kids are out of school, our painting crew will be going to Castlewood High School, and they're going to paint all the handrails throughout the school while the kids aren't in school next week. Before the fair, we go in and we help get the buildings, clean the buildings, and help get ready for the fair. The guys cut all the weeds at the fairgrounds and make it look pretty for everybody. And then each day of the fair that we're working, we clean and remove the litter throughout the fairgrounds each morning before we start anything else, just to help the guys out up there. At the animal shelter now, I don't really know how this happened, but we supply workers 7 days a week now at the animal shelter. And they go down and they feed all the animals and clean up at the shelter and walk the dogs and help the vet when she's vetting the animals. And our recovery court, the work program does 2 days a week, and the recovery court takes care of that the rest of the week. And Mike Stutz helps make sure that they're down there and keeps an eye on that for us. We also help at the food pantries. both in Lebanon and Feeding America up at Word of Victory. And the mowing, Rick does most of the bigger jobs of mowing, but we do a lot of the smaller jobs and the weed eating for the county. And we do all the transfer sites, the boat ramps, the firing range, up at our office building, the soccer field, Honeacre football field, Honeacre Little League field, the government center, the elementary school and at Lebanon and Lebanon Little League at Glade Hollow. We help down at Cleveland Life Saving Crew, Castlewood High School and Elementary School, the old courthouse and the shelter over there, Clinch River Little League, Holbrook Field and the tennis courts, Dank Ball Field and campground, the old steam plant. We help Scott McLaughlin with the kids fishing day to clean up the banks up there for the kids, and Cleveland Fire Department. Some other jobs we did this year, the great staff that we have at the library, anything they need, the guys will go up and take care of. They'll hang pictures or move furniture or paint. Anything they need, we'll help with. We help Sonny at the fire department. We helped him build shelves and painting and cleaning, and I think it's on our schedule now to do a couple more jobs up there for him in the winter months. We plan to go up and help him some more. We help down at Cleveland Life Saving Crew with cleaning and washing the trucks. We removed the old flooring at the Commonwealth Attorney's Office. We help shredding tires at the transfer station. We help with replacing the old road name signs as they get damaged throughout the county. We help reinstall those. We help the town of Honeacre cleaning and weed eating. We wash buses at the bus garage. All the sheriff's offices, as they switch their cars, somebody has to peel all those little stickers off the old vehicles, and we help with that. And we also help washing cars for the county offices and for the sheriff's office as we can. We help with the county recycle day and the hazardous material days that they have here at the government center. We help the maintenance team with cleaning or mowing or cleaning out gutters, whatever Rick and Terry and Brady and them need, we'll help with. And the favorite job for all the workers is when the bears get in the trash cans and take the trash up through the hills. We get to help clean that up too. Some new things we're going to be starting, and we have started, is we do MRT class for everybody that's in CWP. And I was trained a few years ago to do that, but I hadn't really done it until we started, because Drug Court does it through Cumberland Mountain. So we started doing it in our office for the people in CWP, and I think it's been real successful so far. Currently with the grant for Recovery Court this year, I'm working to develop a 12-month life skills class that will be part of our program. And as soon as we get everything approved, what my plan is to have, it'll be 1 day a month, and we'll have professionals from different areas coming in on that day to go over the subject matter. Some of the topics will be courtroom etiquette, manners and professionalism, banking and finance, time management, organization and housekeeping, health, fitness and nutrition. I want to get everybody certified in first aid, CPR and Narcan, stress management, problem solving, focus and self-control, grooming, physical health, personal safety, writing and public speaking. Everybody that, as they graduate Recovery Court, has to give a speech at their ceremony. And a lot of you have been there and heard those, how wonderful they are. So we're going to work on that so that they have better knowledge of how to prepare for that day. We're going to have the Employment Commission come and help with interviewing skills and resume building. I plan to have a nutrition class with cooking and grocery shopping on a budget, which we all need right now. I want to have a home and auto maintenance class that just help people learn how to check the oil and change a flat, things like that. And I also want to have a how-to class that will help, like how to get a social security card, a birth certificate, DSS benefits, or HUD, or whatever, things like that. Another thing we're starting this year with Recovery Court is we're going to, in January, the judge and I will sit down and plan one graduation per quarter. And all the people that graduate during that time frame will graduate on those dates. And we'll know a year in advance. So as soon as I know those dates, I'll give that to you guys and you can get it on your schedule, and hopefully everybody will be able to come and watch one of those. The last thing I have, if you'll give that out. Oh, I didn't give it to you yet. Or did I? I did. Here it is. I also put together, since we started this in 2016, I put together a list of numbers for every year. And as you get time, I would like you to look over that, and I would like you to take that into consideration. We need an office that will accommodate us and our parking and our equipment. And I know I had talked to a few of you, and we had talked about building an office, and I am asking to please find a location and let us start building an office before we get kicked out again. We need it bad, and we don't want to be put somewhere and then have to move again in a year, and then again in a year. This is the real number on the bottom of that paper. And I think we deserve that. We deserve a place that we can call our own and not have to worry about getting moved out. That we can provide these services to the county, and that's all I have to say. I will say that I want to give anybody that's here in the program an opportunity to say anything, or if you guys have any questions that you want to ask for any of the, from me, the staff, or the people in the program.
I just like to say I really appreciate what you're doing. I'll never forget when we first got elected, our first time being elected, Judge Moore and you guys wanted to meet and talk about an idea and said if you would invest this much money, this is the return on investment. One of the things, it wasn't as much about the money as it was giving people a second chance at life and supporting them and getting them, I would support it also if you would want to implement something like to help them get their GEDs.
Well, we do that. I forgot to mention that.
Well, I thought,
And we have people here that have graduated.
Good, congratulations. But we just want to let you know that our county. I know me personally, and I'm sure all these board members want to give people a second opportunity and a second chance. We know that everybody makes mistakes. We all do. We make mistakes, and we're not perfect. And the thing about it is, with this type of program, it highlights a lot of their talents. And I think I think you guys do a good job. I've seen these guys out in the field with them. It's just really inspiring to see these guys working with them out in the field. And I was at Homemaker Little League, watching Bob and them had a crew there, and one of the guys came over to me and talked to me, which I knew personally. And I told him, I said, just keep the faith, man. Get through this program, and hopefully you can get a job and get established, and get on your feet, and not go back to that again. And he agreed with me. But I really appreciate you, Missy, and I do agree. You need a facility. You guys, this has been such an impactful program. We ought to support you guys in that regard to give you the facility you need to be able to do what you need to do.
We always feel like you guys support us with anything, and we don't ask for much. And Lonzo looked it up for me the other day. We get a $40,000 budget, and I don't think we spend all of that usually, but we spend all we can. But we have 4 part-time employees and myself, and 2 of the part-time employees the county gets reimbursed because they're covered under my drug court grant, so it doesn't cost the county anything. So, I mean, it's a win-win, like Zach has said a million times. And I appreciate you giving me praise. But every year when I come in here, I always go back to the office and tell the workers that what y'all said. But I wanted them to be here today because they do the work. They're doing the hard part. Number 1 is staying sober. And number 2, just getting through the days. And they show up every single day. And I wanted them to hear those comments. So I appreciate that so much.
Well, we appreciate all those workers. And if there's anything that we could ever do to help further opportunities for them, I think we need to.
Absolutely.
You know, Missy, when I came and saw the presentation that you guys did, I mean, I literally cried. You know that. The hard work that you all put in is amazing. The workers, I mean, y'all do a great job, and I know it's tough, but these second chances are really important. And I'm like David, I do think that we need to figure out a facility for you all because it's clear that this program does work. And it helps the county. It gives people second chances. I mean, we couldn't ask for any better, I don't think. And, you know, I have known people that have personally went through it, and it's tough. You all are not easy on them, and I don't think people that aren't familiar with it realize how tough it is. It would be tough even if you're not battling sobriety or battling to be sober. So you all are doing a great job. Thank you.
Yes, we all stand up.
Missy, I don't think there's any question that your program has been one of the absolutely the most successful program we've done, at least, you know, since I've been here. And I mean, the audience that hasn't seen this bottom line, I don't think, but over a 9-year period, it's like $10.3 million worth of work that the county would have had to pay for otherwise. There's absolutely no way we could have done that. That's over an extra $1 million a year out of the budget. Lonzo couldn't get by with the maintenance staff that he has. He has an extended maintenance staff is what he has with the workforce program. Thank you all so much for that. But, you know, recovery is kind of near and dear to my heart because we do the Recovery at Lebanon program. But everybody deserves a second chance, third chance, and fourth chance sometimes. And what I've seen, not only does this give your people an opportunity, I've seen people in there that I knew personally that actually didn't know how to work. They'd never had to do that foreign thing before, you know. Actually, your program teaches people how to work and how to get along with other people and how to function in a routine daily workforce. So, you know, we are going to build you an office, aren't we?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
We just got to
Everybody
find.
heard that.
We've got to latch onto the right piece of property. So we've got a couple of sites in mind, and hopefully it'll be, you know, within this next coming year we'll get that done. Hopefully pretty quick.
If you can get it under a roof, I got some people that can help you.
Okay, well, that's what we got in mind. That we know you can do that for sure. Thank you so much, all of you, for all you do. You know, it's just an awesome program, and you know, I can't understand why more people haven't copied this program. You know, if we see something works anywhere else, we'll grab it and steal it in a heartbeat. You know, so a lot has to do with the management. Somebody told me the reason they got a lot done is because they had a tough boss. So, she'll admit that too.
Yes, I will.
You have to be sometimes. So, thank you so much for all you all do.
Missy, before you leave, I just wanted to explain to the board, some of the newer members, that, Missy's facility was where the courthouse was, so we had to move her out of the courthouse at first. And she's been playing musical offices here for a while, so we moved her to the old 911 building. Then we had to move the sheriff's out and build another facility for the 911 and upgrade the 911 dispatch in the sheriff's office. So she's there now, but it's owned by the IDA, and there could be a potential business going in there. So we're kind of looking for that. One of the other things, when she was talking about Zach's office, it's not just Zach's office that she is remodeling. She's doing every office of the Commonwealth Attorney. They've done the floors and the painting. The contractual bid that I got was around $75,000 just for that component work alone. So that's how important this is. The third thing I wanted to do, I've been talking to VACO, and the community work program has came up, and the board hasn't heard this, nor has Missy or Zach. They have reached out to us to put this program in for the state acknowledgement and award for a community work program through the Virginia Association of Counties for the state of Virginia. That's how impressive this is.
Way past time to do that.
Yes. So I'll be getting with Missy. Congratulations, the state has put you on the radar and recognized the program, both yours and Zach's. As each one of the ones that come through, as last month we had the library, this month that we had the community work program. Next month I got the Department of Social Services. Miss Dye, Terry Dye wanted to see from all the organizations. So each and every month I'm putting someone in one of the departments on the agenda to be able to explain what all we're doing, because we do so much, you just don't hear it all. So, and we're used to just work and get it done, and we ain't got time to talk about most of the time what we got to do. So, Missy, thank you. And Zach.
Anybody else have any comments, questions?
Mr. Lester, have you talked to Senator Pillion, or maybe, I know Zach, maybe about the opioid grant money to help fund the building for the program?
I don't know the specifics, but I don't see why it wouldn't qualify, seeing that they are being drug tested every week, multiple times, as well as MRT classes. I mean, I'm not an expert on how those funds work, but I don't see how it would qualify.
I know Senator Pillion watches these meetings, so I wanted to bring his name up so that he knows that we might be coming with our hand out.
Well, the good thing about it is it does qualify. We did look, and Missy has been looking at the OAA for training and working with her individuals to be able to use some of those funds with it, because you got to remember it's either in prevention, treatment, or recovery, and this is part of the recovery component. Now, we have a pot of OAA money that the county has that's allocated for us, and we're going after it as far as that component to be able to cost share on this facility. But right now, we're trying to figure out who's moving where still yet, and who's, we're trying to figure out a couple other departments too. So this will work well.
I just want to say appreciate you all that run the program, and all those that are involved in the program. Stay with it. You're all doing great. Appreciate it. And good job. Good job. Thank you.
Thank you, Missy.
You're welcome.
Zach, thank you. Thanks to all the workers in particular. Okay. Next, Shiloh.
It's Dad.
Or Jim.
Dad.
You're not Shiloh.
But you got me anyway. To our board, appreciate the time here. I'm Jim Little. I'm the agritourism subcommittee chair as part of our tourism committee. At the county fair this year, we recognized 39 Virginia Century farms, along with 3 bicentennial farms over 200 years. At that time, those 3 were Smithfield, John Henry's farm up there, was Stewart Land and Cattle, and was the Dickinson farm on Reeds Valley Road. became aware of a fourth farm there that was registered with the Historical Commission, but not with the Agricultural Service, where we get our data from. So we have since got them transferred to be recognized by VDACS, Virginia Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services. And we'd like to recognize them this evening. Agriculture is a very important part of the economy of Russell County. We still have over twice as many cows as we do people in the county. I love that statistic. Hope we can maintain it, Andrew. We'll start counting your sheep as goats as cows. We have to. But it is still a vital part of both Russell County, agriculture is, as well as the Commonwealth of Virginia. I'd like to recognize today, and read a little excerpt if we will, and I think this one's really cool. Maybe you won't, but Glenmary Farm, which is now the home of Patricia Dickinson Gray, is comprised of a portion of the lands given to Henry Dickinson on July 5th, 1785. Let me stop right there. The deed that was signed, and that it's the possession of Miss Gray, was deeded by Patrick Henry, then governor of Virginia at that time. So I think that's rather impressive to move west there. As compensation for services in the Revolutionary War, his son Henry Dickinson III was the first owner to live in the Glenmary house, occupying it in 1825. Dickinson was followed by Henry Patton Dickinson, Charles Sullins Dickinson, Robert Patton Dickinson, and presently Patricia Dickinson Gray. Glenmary Farm was named for Henry Patton Dickinson's wife, Mary Gibson, and Glenmary Farm is recognized as a bicentennial farm on the National Register, as well as the State Historical Register, and now on the Virginia Department of Agriculture. Fortunately, Ms. Gray could not be with us today, but I'd like to invite her daughter, Adrienne Robinson, to come up and receive our presentation. If Steve could come up here as our chair and note this, anyone else?
It's my district, I'm coming.
There you go, Luke.
Recognition of service, Russell County, Virginia, honors Glenmary Farm for over 200 years service in the agricultural industry in Russell County, Virginia. Certified license of the farm by the Russell County Tourism Department and Board of Supervisors.
Thank you, Jim. Appreciate that. Okay. So now we have our public hearing on the Russell County Sunday sale of beer ordinance. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the public hearing. If you'd like to speak, we have a signed sheet right here. So I'm going to call you up. Remember, you have 3 minutes. And yes, ma'am. I can't hear you, JJ. Sure, come on.
I wanted to come on behalf of the school board and formally invite all the Board of Supervisors members. This has never been done before. And as the liaison from the school board to the Board of Supervisors, I invite each of you all to do a walkthrough through all the schools in the county. I started this last year when I was elected. I do a walkthrough through each school. And it's great to do because, you know, you all give us funding and then we spend that money in these schools and doing different types of upgrades and And it's good to see where your money goes, and it's good to see the upgrades that we do. And it's good to see things that you may not want to see that needs upgrades, because I do that all the time. I walk in and I say, that needs to be fixed or that needs to be done. And I want to invite each of you, of course, David and Tara would be the Honaker High School and elementary school. Steve would be the all the Lebanon schools. Andrew and Lou, you would be the Castlewood School, and Miss Di, Belfast.
And Honaker, because half of my people go to Honaker too.
And well, I just wondered.
Rosedale.
I worried about doing 3 at a time, because 3 board members can't be together
Right.
at one time. So I just thought where your district is Belfast.
And
I mean, I don't care for you coming. I just know that 3 board members can't be together at one time. So I know that's illegal. So that's why I did you 2, because you do serve them 2 areas. And Nate, you would be the whole ordeal. So we're going to do that on the 7th and the 8th of next week. I need contact information for Lou and Rebecca. If you don't care, I'll give you my phone numbers and text me, and I'll set up a time, and I'll do the same with everybody else too. But I hope you all can come. It'll be a good experience. You can ask us questions, and you can ask the principals questions. So if you have any right now, you're free to ask. But I think that'd be a good opportunity for both boards to still stay transparent, work together, and keep a good open relationship.
yeah, I'll need to walk through Honaker, Belfast, and Lebanon. I'm kind of an oddity. My folks all go to all those schools.
Okay.
I tell you, JJ, I'm really excited about doing this. I think it's great that you're, offering this chance to us. I think it's very, very important for us to know, not just where the money's going, but like you said, where maybe we need to send some more.
Yeah.
So thank you for doing it.
All right, you're welcome. Yeah, I'll just coordinate with you all, and we'll make that happen.
Let us know when, JJ.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Now we'll open up a public hearing for the Russell County Sunday Sale of Beer Ordinance. The first person I have on the list here is Jerry.
Good morning, y'all.
Morning.
For those of you that aren't familiar with me, I'm Jared Ring. I'm one of many that spent 9 months petitioning this board against the Moss 3 landfill project, which would have endangered the entire community here in Russell County. But one of the main drivers for that project was a lack of revenue in Russell County. This regressive prohibition, 14% of the year, deprives Russell County of that revenue for no benefit. As long as we lack that revenue and hamstring our businesses, we will remain vulnerable to predatory projects like the Moss 3 landfill. Lebanon and Honaker already have exemptions from this ordinance and benefit from all-year alcohol sales in compliance with state law. That is not fair to Castlewood, Honaker, Cleveland, Rosedale, and everywhere else in the county that is, I said Honaker, but they have an exemption, that is outside of town limits. Those areas are also very near the county line, so it only serves to push the revenue that businesses in those places would have had out of the county. It does not prevent drinking. A study by the University of Chicago that I've provided a copy of to this board found that drunk driving is in fact worse in dry counties at a rate of 6.8 per 1,000 versus 1.9 per 1,000. You cannot inconvenience someone that has a substance abuse problem out of that substance abuse problem with a 10-minute drive 1/7 of the time. That is simply not how addiction works. In fact, I think it's ironic that we're having a prohibition debate just after a hearing about rehabilitating people with narcotics abuse problems. I believe that this ordinance also represents an egregious violation of church and state, it being a prohibition on Sundays alone. And that's particularly ridiculous considering that there is no scripture saying not to drink, only not to be drunk. In fact, the first miracle of Christ was turning water to wine. The very founding father of Protestantism, Martin Luther, believed that wine was a gift from God. Most Christians in Christendom take communion or the Eucharist, which is an alcohol, on a Sunday. And if a Muslim were to stand before you and ask you to ban the sale of haram food during the month of Ramadan, what would anyone here say? It is the same. Will we next prohibit the sale of mixed fiber clothing, haircuts, or catfish as unscaled fish on Sundays? It is the same. And what of our obligation to love our neighbors? Is destroying their businesses and depriving others of the opportunity to work in an already impoverished county in line with that? Furthermore, I believe that it is a violation of the principles of individual liberty on which this country was founded. It is not the business of the state, particularly at a local level, to try to legislate morality or tell the individual what they can and cannot own or when they can purchase it. This country was founded on individual freedoms, separation of church and state, and I believe that the freer the people, the better. Telling someone what they can and cannot consume on a given day of the week is outside the role of government, in my opinion. It also does severe harm to our businesses, particularly in Castlewood, where Sunday the after-church crowd is considerable. It's costing those businesses, one in particular in Castlewood, between $20,000 and $30,000 a year in lost sales. And that's just in alcohol. That doesn't even account the meals that go with them and the other indirect revenues. Now you scale that to every gas station, restaurant, and grocery store in the county, and suddenly that becomes dozens of jobs that are gone. Revenue that we do not have that we could have otherwise. The folks that opened up the business in Castlewood have come here, saved up money, gambled that money on protecting their business and their business idea succeeding. They have become part of the fabric of the community over decades. Hamstringing them and their business 14% of the time flies in the face of the American dream.
Jerry, you need to go ahead. You need to go ahead and finish it.
Okay, I'm nearly there, Steve. Thank you. My conservative estimates based on data from the Census Bureau and Bureau of Labor is that this has cost the county at least $127 million in alcohol tax alone, and that is not inflation adjusted over the 70 years that this ordinance has been in place. So, is the county so rich that we can afford to decline that money? It gives us no benefit, and make no mistake, the choice before you is to support small business entrepreneurs and individual rights, or to support government overreach and an ideology that tried and failed prohibition 100 years ago. For those of us to the right of center, I believe that choice should be clear, and I ask you all to repeal this in its entirety and let state law govern the subject as every county around us does. Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry. Wesley, is it Laws and/or Maxie's? Skeen? They let Angie McGowan. Where you at, Angie? There you go.
I'm not far away, Steve. Okay, about the alcohol ordinance, the prohibition ordinance, whatever. I just want to say that, like, personally, it doesn't affect me at all because I don't drink. But as far as the money coming in for the county and the fact that it's one afternoon a week that we're talking about, I really don't see a problem in repealing the prohibition. It would be nice to have the money not just from the sale of alcohol, but for the sale of the meals that go with the alcohol. And, we get the taxes from that. It may end up being quite a bit, May not be that much, but anything that we can keep in the county, I think would help the county as long as it's not hurting the other citizens. That's my opinion. Thanks.
Thank you, Angie. Amy Branson.
Good morning.
Morning.
So we have a declining population in the county, and as Jared so greatly said everything I was really going to say, we need to be open to new businesses, and a lot of those are probably going to be small businesses, and they're probably going to be around tourism. And if you go down to the Western Front Hotel on a Sunday, they are booming. The Mexican restaurant is selling all the meals, all the drinks, and that's revenue that we're missing out on as a county less than 5 minutes down the road. Castlewood is losing businesses. The Pizza Hut can't even survive in Castlewood, so we really need to take care of the ones that are there and investing in us. The family there is active in our community, has children in our schools, and is losing revenue and has been losing sleep and fretting over this. And I asked Jose to be here today, and I think he was reluctant to because he didn't want to upset the religious community because they are very religious, So it upsets them and it puts them in a rock and a hard place. And we should just follow the state law. This is a government decision. We all have freedom to worship how we want at home. But this is completely a government decision. You can't tell people what to do. In the years I've been a pharmacist, you cannot discourage people from being addicted by restricting it. And I'm sure that if you had talked to any of these people in sobriety, they would have told you they would have driven hundreds of miles to get what they needed when they needed it. So I would just like you all to really consider this as a business decision, to be open to future people to come into our county. We want to be open-minded with the type of people we attract. They may not all be Christians, and that's okay. We have a wide population of people in neighboring communities at prison facilities that we accommodate all religions. We move med times and meal times to accommodate Ramadan, and that's a government state decision, and that's what we should be doing at our local level. So thank you all for having me today.
Thank you, Amy. Jennifer Chum.
Good morning. Thank you all for letting me speak this morning. So I'm here to discuss the proposal for alcohol sales on Sundays in our county, aligning with the policies of all of our surrounding counties and in Virginia. First and foremost, allowing Sunday alcohol sales will bring substantial economic benefits. By permitting sales, we provide local businesses, including restaurants, grocery stores, and retailers, an additional revenue stream, leading to increased sales tax collections, and that helps our towns and our county. The influx of revenue can be reinvested into community projects, public services, infrastructure, we all need that, improvements, and ultimately benefits residents. Currently, our businesses face a competitive disadvantage. Residents are driving to neighboring counties and towns where Sunday sales are permitted, spending their money outside the community to eat in these restaurants. By aligning our policy with those of our nearby areas, we keep consumer spending local, which is the main goal, I believe, for tourism, supporting our economy, helping our small businesses thrive. I understand that some religious groups may have concerns about this proposal. I myself graduated from a Christian university, and I've studied hard, and I understand, and I am a Christian. The change does not compel anyone to purchase or consume alcohol. It simply provides the option for those that wish to have a drink on Sunday as they eat their dinner in a restaurant. That's all it does. Additionally, current regulations that ensure responsible sales and consumption will remain in place, safeguarding public safety. We're not doing away with the public safety aspect of this. It's also important to note that our policy should reflect all county residents and businesses, and we are free to choose and not bound by more regulations in government. Sunday alcohol sales do not interfere with religious observances or practices. The government's role is to balance various interests while supporting economic growth and community well-being. By approving this change, we uphold the values of fairness, choice, and economic opportunity without encroaching on personal beliefs. And in conclusion, I ask that we repeal the ordinance, allow the state to legislate, allowing Sunday alcohol sales in our county for the greater economic success, strengthen our local businesses. This is a step forward, and I think it really talks about individual freedom to choose. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. Charles King Jr. Not yet. I'll open it up after he finishes.
Good morning to y'all. I'm gonna come at it from a little different angle. Well, number one, I work for Community Corrections in Tazewell, and I offer some services that cover 8 county areas. So I'm all for public safety, believe me. This is personal experience. I live in the Belfast community. Last Sunday, I drink beer and I wanted to have some. Unfortunately, when I woke up, I didn't have it before to drink while I was watching the race. I ended up having to go to the Dollar General in Wardale to purchase my alcohol. I'm about an equal distance between the Wardale store and the Rosedale one. And of course, the old Robin's Nest down there is really close to me. But I didn't have those options. I had to go over into Tazewell County, and Tazewell County got that tax revenue from me. Probably wasn't much, but over time it has to add up. So I hope y'all consider this and you move forward and approve. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, I'll open it up to the public now. Finish with the list. Go ahead, sir.
I just want to have a few words. I saw.
Did your name, and
my
address?
name is Hugh O'Donnell, and I'm an attorney, and I'm here about this issue, which I find very concerning. At the beginning of your session today, you began with the Pledge of Allegiance. And one of the phrases in the Pledge of Allegiance is, with liberty and justice for all. This gentleman mentioned the Constitution and the Establishment Clause, the First Amendment to the Constitution that says that should be no establishment of religion. I'm not going to get into that, but I want to raise an issue connected with the 14th Amendment, which talks about equal justice. And equal justice, and it's on the Supreme Court building up in DC, equal justice. The situation that we have in Russell County, particularly concerning one particular institution in Castlewood, an unincorporated part of Russell County, which used to be incorporated. And I believe the practice of serving beer on Sundays began during that period. The Castlewood became unincorporated by referendum. These people who ran El Palenque restaurant had no clue that this had any impact. Nothing. Nobody told them. All of a sudden, they lost this income. Now, if you look in Russell County, there are places in towns that serve alcohol on Sunday. So if it's okay in Honaker or Lebanon or wherever that's incorporated, why is it somehow against the law in unincorporated Russell County, especially when it used to be incorporated? It's not fair, it's not just. The income loss to these people, to their business, has been significant. I will give you a specific example that I know from owners and talked with them. Football season in the fall, is a big time activity, particularly for guys. And one of the things they like to do is drink beer as they watch football on Sunday, because that's where a lot of it is. The management of El Palenque has told me that when he has been forced by this leftover ordinance to tell people we don't serve beer, he's had people get up and walk out. And where do they go? The nearest place, and this is my place where I live, in Wise County, less than a mile away. And let me tell you, the restaurants in Wise County contribute nothing to the budget of Russell County. They don't do it. The institution that I'm here on behalf of, they contribute a significant amount, which would be even more if this ordinance was removed. And I would think it's an easy thing to do. This is a state-regulated activity. They keep an eye on all places that serve the ABC board. I would also point out that there is a Supreme Court decision from 1982 in which 8 out of 9 justices said that in Massachusetts they had an ordinance that said if a place that served alcohol was too close to a church, that church had the right to sort of veto the situation. And in an 8-1 decision, the court decided that was unconstitutional under the Establishment Clause of this gentleman. Now, I'm not saying that I don't know anything at all about whether people have protested or not. I will say, in my religion, I actually drank alcoholic beverage on Sunday.
Mr. O'Donnell, you need to go ahead and finish up. You've exceeded your
I'm
3 minutes.
finishing up just with asking you, as a matter of justice under the United States Constitution that you pledged allegiance to do the just thing and kill this remnant of prohibition, which did nothing but for alcoholism, but helped cause crime. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Is this public comment only for the alcohol?
Name?
Josh Minton. Is this public comment only for the
It's
alcohol?
for the alcohol, yeah.
Is there gonna be another time to
Yeah.
speak?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and close the public comment period for the Sunday beer sales.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
at this time, I don't see this further on down on the agenda anywhere, as it only coming up on the county attorney reports.
Uh-huh.
So, but I'm gonna offer a motion. Do I need to wait until your report? I'm gonna ask this board to, I'm gonna make a motion to repeal this ordinance as of tomorrow.
Okay, I have a motion to repeal this latest no beer sales on Sunday ordinance. Do I have a second?
I'll give you a second for discussion.
Okay, I have a second. Okay, now we're open for discussion on this matter. Questions, comments from anyone?
Okay, do we have any finite numbers, amount of money that Russell County is losing? Has there been any study? Is there anything, Lonzo?
No, to my knowledge, no.
Okay.
This, Amy, I appreciate your input. This is discussion between the board, okay?
I do know that during COVID, the state of Virginia allowed mixed drinks to be carried out in what I would call like a sippy cup type thing. And so that did open the doors up for the restaurant that we keep talking about. But I'm assuming it opened up the dollar stores and the marathons and the Shell stations and everything else for sales because you couldn't distinguish one from the other. But I do know that the El Palenque was doing that, and then they just continued after the COVID restrictions was lifted, I think. And so then they were sent back to the alcohol board, I guess, and told that they could not do that. So that, I mean, it was, it is, it isn't, and so this is just a real confusing thing, and I think it's very, very unfair, particularly in my district. So I'm going to stand for them. I think that this board should. This is something that you're just going to have to move forward with. This is business, and we have to look at it like a business. And there may be another restaurant that wants to come, and alcohol sales is proven to help our businesses over the top a little bit with their food sales. And so that there has to be numbers out there for that.
I had a question for Mr. Lester. Did you look up what it would cost to do referendum? And the reason I'm asking is because in my district, I've had kind of 50-50. And I really like to, try to represent as well as I possibly can. And I'm just wanting to look at that avenue as well.
Well, with the cost of the referendum, doing the attorney process.
Lonzo, you need to speak into the mic.
Right.
I'm sorry.
Louder.
I'm used to these. I've been in the other boardroom. Sorry about that. As far as the referendum cost, you're past getting it on this referendum. Of course, that's, the voting is Tuesday. That's too quick. But as your counsel will tell you, and he can speak on it a little bit more too, you would have to wait till next year. Of course, you have the governor's up for election. We do have new poll books in place that's electronic, so this would not be a major cost. I would estimate, and this is just rough numbers on the cuff, 5,000 or less. So.
And then the cost to the attorney will have to do the will have
correct.
to write the referendum.
I'm just talking the electoral part. Yeah.
Hearing is over, Chair.
I have some information.
Sir, this is a board discussion. I appreciate it, but
I had information that this board in the past enacted exemptions for 2 nightclubs. One.
Mr. O'Donnell, okay. No input from the crowd. This is a board discussion. I'm sorry, this is not, we can't do the banner back and forth.
I was told that this was a time when the ordinance would be considered.
It was during the public hearing, sir. So please let the board finish with their discussion, okay? Okay, now, who was talking?
Well, I was just wanting to know, from Mr. Wampler, from your point of view, how much would it cost for you to do?
Sure. Mr.
It
Chair,
won't cost much.
Mr. Chair, and to the board, I think the process of certifying an issue for the ballot is not a heavy legal lift. It would be a petition to the Circuit Court of Russell County. The Circuit Court of Russell County would review the petition and ensure that this is one of the issues that can be placed on a ballot. It's limited. Referendum votes are not to be used for every single public issue. There are very limited sets of circumstances in Virginia law that a locality can put an issue on a ballot. This is one of them. 4.1.129 gives localities the ability to regulate this issue. It's very rare. So if you wanted to put it on a referendum ballot, you would make a petition to the circuit court. Circuit court would certify that question. Then that certification and order from the circuit court would go to the Board of Elections. Board of Elections would work with your local Department of Elections and registrar to place that ballot question on your ballot, and then it would appear following the candidates for election on the November 2025 ballot. If we acted today on a referendum or at any other point in the next couple of months, that's plenty of time. There is a deadline in the code for certifying issues on the ballot. We're nowhere close to that right now. I believe it would be June or July of 2025 would be our deadline to certify this for a referendum. If you were to act on the repeal today, you would be getting rid of your 1973 ordinance that prohibits any sale of alcohol from 12 a.m. Saturday till 6 a.m. Monday. If you repeal that, you will end up with the state regulation and code, which says that in all localities, beer and wine and mixed beverages shall be prohibited for sale between 12 a.m. and 6 a.m. That would be 12 a.m. Saturday morning, night, however you want to think of it, until 6 a.m. Sunday morning. That's consistent with Virginia law and Virginia regulation under the ABC code and regs. So that's your standard right now. You guys are a little more prohibitive than the state code. Right now, Russell County prohibits sale of wine and beer from 12 a.m. Saturday night, midnight Saturday till 6 a.m. Monday, and that's more restrictive than the state law. I hope that's clear. I'm happy to take questions. I didn't answer the cost question specifically, but I think Mr. Lester was right. Somewhere between $5,000 and $10,000 out of the county.
Let me ask you this question. You say if we do away with this ordinance, it reverts back to the state. The state says there's no sale of beer, wine, or mixed drinks during that particular time period.
For off-premise sale from 12 a.m. to 6 a.m., yes, sir.
Does that open Russell County up to mixed drinks by reverting that?
There are two different ABC regulations. Mixed beverages do not fall into the same category as beer and wine sales, so they're two different issues.
It just seemed confusing to me if the state, well, okay, it's separate laws together. You're just grouping.
For example, an ABC store is not allowed to be open between 12 a.m. and 6 a.m. That's a mixed. That would be a liquor. Also, on-premise consumption. So that's at a restaurant. That's limited. You cannot do that anywhere in the state between 2 a.m. and 6 a.m. in any day, any day of the week. And so I think the state's looking at this not from a Sunday standpoint, but they wanted to create consistency in the law, and the state law and reg reads 12 a.m. to 6 a.m. any day of the week. Cannot sell alcohol.
Now, as I understand
wine
it now,
and beer.
As I understand it now, Russell County is a dry county where you can't serve mixed drinks outside the corporate limits. Is that correct?
Outside the corporate limits, that is correct.
So, in my mind, that'll be the next injustice.
Is that a separate ordinance?
So
that would be separate from wine. Mixed beverages are separate from wine and beer in the ABC code.
So
separately regulated.
Okay, so Lebanon and Honaker both have ordinances that allow the sale.
Honaker's dry.
Honaker's dry. So we just have one town. Cleveland allows that.
So let me, I'm sorry, I'm stepping on somebody.
I'm just, if we're gonna, if we do an ordinance, I would suggest that we do an ordinance on both liquor by the drink and Sunday beer sales. And let's let, if we do it, if we elect to go with an ordinance, let's let the people of the county decide what they want. That's the fairest way I know about it.
Referendum, is that what you're saying?
With Sunday beer sales and also liquor by the drink.
So you're suggesting the referendum?
Yeah, but both those items on the referendum.
All on one referendum?
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
So split them.
So you're suggesting a referendum for Sunday alcohol sales for beer and wine and mixed drinks.
Split them.
Members of the board, you have a couple options here. You can leave the ordinance in place, not amend it or repeal it. You can amend it, change the time frames that are set out in the ordinance currently. You could make that the same as the state or different than the state, as long as it's within the 12 a.m. to 6 a.m. 12 a.m. I guess technically that's Saturday night, Sunday morning to Monday morning at 6 a.m. You have that window to regulate. That's what the state law says in section 4.129. That's your window that you can regulate. The ABC regs have been amended over time to get rid of the regulatory references to Sunday. Now it just says 12 a.m. to 6 a.m. is a period in any day of the week. Doesn't matter if it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. That's when it's prohibited under 30 VAC 5 5030. That's an ABC reg. I'm sorry to go technical on you, but I want you to know. So if you repeal today, it would take you to that prohibition that's in state code right now. If you leave it in place, your businesses will have to follow your ordinance as it stands. If you want to put it to a referendum, it would be almost an entire year before this issue is voted on by the public, and then you will be bound by the public vote on this. If the public voted to approve it, the board could then not come back and say, we don't agree with the public vote on this and we're going to keep the regulation. You'd be bound by the referendum vote. Conversely, if they approve it if they denied it, you would be bound by that as well. I hope that's clear.
Mr. Wampler,
Yes, sir.
that's the state regulations. 2 a.m., right? Correct? Not 12.
So there's two different things to think about. On-premise sale and off-premise sale. On-premise sale is talking about restaurants. Off-premise sale is more like gas stations.
Right.
Think of that. So off-premise sale is currently regulated at no off-premise sale any day of the week, 12 a.m. to 6 a.m. Gas stations cannot sell beer or wine during that period of time. Let people walk out the door with it.
The restaurants can from 2 till 2 a.m.
That's the state prohibition. No mixed beverage licensee, no restaurant licensee under the ABC code can serve alcohol between 2 a.m. and 6 a.m.
I'll make sure I was clear on that.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Mr. Chair, if I may.
Yes, ma'am.
On another thing I did not bring up because I just wanted to get this on the floor for discussion for the repealing of the ordinance for the beer and wine. And I did read, Mr. Wampler, stop me if I'm wrong, but I did read that in Virginia, if you're within 500 feet of a church, it is 12 noon. Is that the regs on that?
So I saw that same thing. I've researched the regulations pretty exhaustively and cannot find a 500-foot prohibition or regulation on that. So I thought that might come up, and I ran it down and could not find that. I reached out to the ABC. They told me that in regulatory revisions in the last decade that they've gotten rid of any reference to churches and Sundays in their regulatory code.
Okay, so Mr. Chair and the board, I would like to ask that we fully discuss this, and possibly I would be willing to do an amendment that would say 12 p.m. Sunday. So it would take it from midnight to 12 p.m. So at 12 p.m. on Sunday, the sales could begin. I think Wise County has 11 o'clock. I think they do. I'm not sure. Well, I understand, but I've been trying to do my homework. Anyway, I would be willing to offer that if we could do that.
Any other board members have comments?
Well, I'm going to tell you from my perspective, as far as my constituents and what they've told me, I think we need to let the people decide. If they want it, they're going to vote for it. I mean, if they don't want it, they're going to vote against it. But we'll give them the opportunity to decide. I mean, I don't drink. My uncle and aunt, my uncle was a mayor of Honaker, and he fought he fought tirelessly to keep alcohol not to be sold on Sundays. And that's Angie's daddy. And he fought to keep it out.
Well,
Please, hold it down, let the board discuss.
Mr. Chair, I will also say that we have offered this public hearing. We have more than discussed this over the past year, and we have allowed the citizens in the county to fully know that we were discussing this today. Where are they? Where are they?
Well, I'm gonna make a secondary motion and we put it on the referendum at the governor's, when the governor's race is, and let the people decide.
What are you talking about putting on the referendum? Sunday beer sale?
Yeah.
Dan?
Well, what I would, and like I told Steve early on today, I think we need to bundle it together. If our attorney could do that. As far as on.
I think for two separate regulations, if you did that, you would have to have two separate items on the referendum.
How hard would that be?
I was focused on the wine and beer ordinance today, but I believe if you wanted to put both of those on a referendum, they would be separate questions. They would not be included in it. They would not be included in the same question.
If we chose to do liquor by the drink on the referendum as well, would we not have to have a public hearing on that one as well?
I believe you would. I
So we can't
I was
do it.
tasked
We
with
couldn't
the
do
beer
them
and
together
wine.
today anyway. I just wanted to bring it up. I hear, unfair and injustice, a lot, and that'll be the next one, because you can go into St. Paul down at the hotel and get a mixed drink.
That's my secondary
Peanut,
motion.
may I make a suggestion to your motion? That we put it on the referendum to leave it as is, so no change, or to change it to, as Luann suggested, 12 p.m. on Sunday as the alternative option. And then, can we do that, Will?
Mr. Chair and to Mr.
Yes.
Kaiser, the ballot question process is well in place. That we cannot amend the language of the ballot question on this issue. The code 4.1.123 sets out that the question on the ballot shall be, so there's no flexibility here. Shall the sale of wine and beer between the hours of 12 o'clock on each Saturday and 6 o'clock a.m. on each Monday be permitted in Russell County? Would be the question. Same for mixed beverages. Same language. Shall the sale of mixed alcoholic beverages by restaurants licensed by the Virginia ABC be prohibited in Russell County? It's set. There is no flexibility from that. If it is so certified.
I think we can probably dispense, since we would have to have a public hearing on that one anyway. Let's save that one for the later board. Let's just address the Sunday beer sales. So I'm thinking what Nathan said is you're in favor of amending it.
He was saying for the referendum, the wording.
Oh, for the referendum.
The wording.
I'm sorry.
All right,
But
can we do
Yes.
kind of a two-fold thing? Can we do an amended thing for a certain date, time, until we put it as a referendum? Okay. I'm trying to be kind of compromise here. Can we do part lose and then part of the referendum to let the people make the choice? Can we do a temporary amendment to say from now till the next election that we can allow the beer sales and drinks from 12 Sunday, shorten that time frame, and do that until we actually get it on the referendum for next fall in November?
Repeal it today and then have a referendum to see if the whole entire county agrees.
You have the ability today to repeal your own ordinance. That was what was noticed for public hearing and is properly before the board. So if you wanted to repeal the ordinance today, it would revert to the state law, which is no sale between 12 a.m. and 6 a.m.
Unless we specifically say 12 noon.
And then if you wanted to amend the current ordinance to 12 a.m. to 12 noon, that could take effect by the time we have the ordinance prepared and voted on. So.
And then if this board wants to move forward and say, well, we really want to see if it's going to work with a referendum, but for the meantime, we're going to go by state law, and then we're going to see what the rest of the county wants to do come next November, we could have a referendum. But we could repeal it today, or we could amend it today.
I believe you could.
Thank you.
Okay. I have Mr. Eaton's substitute motion on the floor.
I'll give him a second on that.
Okay, I have a motion and a second on the substitute amendment.
And that's to put it on referendum?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's to put the whole, I need more clarity, so that's to put the whole thing on the referendum and not do anything today.
Sunday beer sales, huh? Is that right?
That's right.
Discussion, further discussion on that matter.
Sunday beer sales only for a referendum. Yes. Is that what you said, Dave?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, we waited this long.
Further comment? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and call for a vote on the substitute amendment, which asks for a referendum on Sunday beer sales. All in favor of this motion signify by raising your right hand. Five. All opposed, same right hand. 2. So, looks like it's a referendum. 5-2.
Mr. Chair, I'll follow up with the administrator and you regarding the referendum process and the certification process through the circuit court.
Yeah. Did you work with Mr. Will to take care of that? I think you ought to do a little research on the liquor for the drink too, because I think we need to probably go ahead and address. That's a hard question, but I think we probably need to go ahead and address it while we have time. Maybe we want to do a referendum on that one as well.
I believe we have some time before it has to be certified. I'm happy to gather some information for the board.
All right. Okay. Back on the agenda now. Need approval of the minutes for the October 5th, 2024 meeting.
So motion.
I have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor of this motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All
I'll
opposed,
say aye, but there is a misspelled word, and I'll point
Okay.
that out to you.
You would give that to Rhonda?
Yeah.
Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, like sign. There are none. Okay, I need a motion to approve our expenditures. If you have an opportunity to look at those.
So moved.
Have a motion to approve. Do you have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Okay, now we come to our committee appointments. First up is the Community Policy Management Team. We have Lori Gates, Addison, and Alice Mead up. Her terms expire.
And Joni Lester, that was on our
Yeah.
table today.
Right, that, you're right. We have letters to that effect. And I think these are pretty much dictated, Lonzo, aren't these pretty much dictated by their affiliation? I know Lori is with Cumberland Mountain Community Service.
House. Rebecca Dye will tell you that. She says so.
Joni Lester is a provider of services. She was with Family Preservation. All of these are dictated by state code who has to represent the county on this committee.
Right.
Lori Gates is with the Cumberland Plateau and Mental
Cumberland
Health, Board. And Alice Mead is the family representative.
Okay. Will, can we elect these? Can we reappoint these as a block? Okay.
Yes, you may.
Do I have a motion to that effect?
I'll make a motion that we elect these as a block, please.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
Well,
just to be clear on my motion, I wanted to offer that, but just to be clear, all of these three are qualified for this position. Thank you. I just didn't want to stick somebody on there that wasn't according to the code. Thank you.
Correct. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, like sign. There are none. Okay, now we have Cumberland Plateau Economic Development Commission. These are one-year terms for the board. We have Ron Blankenship, Frank Horton, and Tony Lambert. Whose terms expired October the 12th. They continue to serve until we appoint somebody. So
Well, I will speak to this, Steve. I spoke with Tony Lambert, who owns who is a business owner, farm and motorcycle shop. He said he couldn't serve. He's just too tied up. And if we had someone else, he would be fine to step down. He did appreciate his time, but with his business and the farms, he's too busy. Well,
open it up for nominations.
Yeah, I spoke with Ron Blankenship as well, and he said he's been on there since 2011, and if I had somebody else. So I would like to nominate Raymond Eddie Harrison.
Who?
Raymond Harrison.
Okay,
Raymond He goes by Eddie. Mm-hmm.
I'll second that.
Mr. Chair, do we have to fill all these seats today?
We do not.
I think if we don't have anybody, we could probably table the other two if you all.
I know Ms. Wallace said that she would like to have a person on the board, so maybe we could hold Tony Lambert back.
And Mr. Horton as well, maybe?
Lou appoint that one.
Well, Ms. Dial, that leaves District 6 out.
Yeah.
I'll ask. I'll see someone in my community.
If we could hold
A
those
business
two,
leader.
if we could hold those two, I would appreciate it. All the other districts seem to be covered.
Yeah.
Do we need a motion for that?
Okay.
If we do, I'll make it.
Well, I have a motion and a second on Raymond Harrison, so let's go ahead and act on that one. All in favor of Raymond Harrison for this appointment, signify by saying aye. All opposed, like sign. So Mr. Harrison is to replace Mr. Blankenship.
And Mr.
We're going to
Chair,
hold Tony Lambert.
I'll offer a motion that we hold those other two seats until maybe December or January.
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor of that motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. There are none. Okay. And we have one other thought, Frank Horton.
That was one. She was going to hold that.
Oh, both.
That's
That's
a
one of the two that's held. Gotcha. Table. Move on to the next one, Russell County Library Board. We have two people up, Kim Fife and Ann Monk. So,
I'd like to nominate Ann Monk.
I'll second.
okay, motion is second to reappoint Ann Monk. Any discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, like sign. There are none.
I'd like to nominate Tina Harris.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Tara. Who? Tina Harris.
Tina is.
Harris. Harris.
I'll second that.
Okay, I have a motion and a second for Tina Harris. Any discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, like sign. There are none. Okay, next we have tourism.
I was talking. I've been made aware that Miss Hubbard that's on there is no longer able to serve. I would like to nominate Jody Eaton.
Jody
Eaton.
I'll second that.
Okay, I have a motion and a second that Linda Hubbard is not able to serve on the tourism board and to appoint Jody Eaton in her position. Any discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye. Mr. Eaton abstains. All opposed to this motion signify by like sign. There are none. So we've done that. Okay. Now we're down to the constitutional officers reports. There is none. We have none. One constitutional officer fled. Okay, Mr. Will, it's up to you. County attorney.
Excuse me, Chairman, we still have citizens comment. The second portion.
Huh?
Citizens.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Can we, take about a 2-minute break?
Okay. We're gonna take a 2-minute break and then we'll open it up. I'm sorry. I didn't,
I need more
that
than
was a
2
Freudian slip. I didn't do it on purpose. Hello? Okay. Let's get back into session. And I'm going to open it up for citizens' comment. Have anybody? Come on up. Yeah, I know y'all are signed up on this.
So, my name is Wesley Lawson. I'm a member of St. Paul Fire Department, and of course, I know you know Maxie as well with Cleveland. We're here to discuss the Russell County Emergency Services Ordinance draft that is listed, that is actually contained in your packet. Additionally, Maxie has left a paper on your table that is the original Washington County ordinance that exists on the books in Washington County today. If you look at that document and compare it to the draft document that is in the board packet, you will see a difference in page 1, and then a 5 to replace in page 2 through 7 to replace the word Washington with Russell. The ironic part with this document, this was presented at the last board meeting, that this was discussed by the Fire Chiefs Association. The last meeting at the Fire Chiefs Association, the document itself was laid on the table and says, hey, you need to be aware of this. This document and process contained within inside of it was not discussed at the Fire Chiefs Association, yet it was presented as such. Additionally, the same document represents all of the EMS agencies in Russell County as well.
We was not notified of any of this.
Maxie found out, we sent her a text message of, hey, did you see this? She didn't know anything about it. So the piece of, yes, Russell County needs something on the books. We know why from that direction. However, we all need to sit down at a table, have the conversations, and actually build a document for Russell County rather than trying to say, let's do the Washington County approach of a combined fire and EMS system that the county funds. Right now, the EMS fire agencies, a lot of them are doing bingo and other things, relying on towns as well to help fund. And if you're ready to pay for the labor of all the volunteers, you're going to buy new fire trucks, buy new ambulances. Those are expensive. You're talking $400,000 to $500,000 plus for a fire truck. I just got a bill yesterday for hose for a fire truck, $10,000. As you add those things up, and if you want to go and look at some of this approach that's looking at in this document, let's take the Washington County approach, which they have a bigger budget, and they can afford this a little more than what is happening here. They're paying people to staff stations. They're buying trucks. They're doing these things, but they have a larger budget. So if you look at the document between the two, yes, there's an option for the Washington County approach, but you're going to have to start shelling out a whole lot more money and thinking about it that direction. So those are things to think about.
We do not want the fire department and the rescue squads combined.
So hopefully this helps you all understand another side of this, that this has just kind of been slid in without any discussion, and it's being kind of presented as such. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else for public comment? Okay, public comment is closed.
Mr. Chair, I did have a question for Mr. Lester. This that they just brought up here, Maxie and the gentleman, this is just a draft, right, that we are working on?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
It's a draft. I think it's intended as draft to let the board start to look at some.
Okay, so it's more or less just something that it's a place that we start, we pick it apart, and we add to it. So I can go speak with Maxie and see
Right. Sure.
what she needs, and also with Brett and that sort of
That was
thing.
the intention of the
Okay,
document.
I just wanted to make sure, because
This-
that was the way I
this-
took it, and I wanted to make sure that you all are
Yeah.
taking it that way too, because I definitely don't want to shove anything down anybody's throat. Y'all know more about what y'all do than I do, so, okay.
Yeah.
I gotcha. Well, Miss Maxie, I will be calling you very
Yes.
shortly.
So we really need
Thank
to,
you.
you need to go back, kind of go back to the drawing board and have the EMS involved in constructing these.
Yes.
So we need your input on this. Okay.
Yeah.
So we need to have the EMS input on this before we make any decisions. Okay. So y'all just need to come back to the table and be discussing this.
Well, I'm planning on going to the next fire chiefs meeting. Maxie, when can I mean, you guys have a meeting once a month or once a week? What do you all do? Quarterly?
See, that was the problem.
Okay.
If this is gonna impact EMS, shouldn't they be at the table?
Yes,
Yeah.
they need to be at the table.
Definitely.
Well,
So maybe should we have them come to the fire chiefs meeting and that way we can all.
Sit
Thi-
down one.
this, again, this is just a draft.
Yeah,
copy
we
to
got a
start
little
the
too quick
process.
and too fast.
Yeah.
People were doing too much speculation. This was the draft that was presented to the board of supervisors last time. As I had talked to the board members, I said, go back and talk to your fire chiefs. During the, and conversations with the board and the board members, we put the draft out there. This was the fire minimum requirements. Of course, we went in and now the fire meeting, we didn't get their full blessing on it because we pulled out of components, but I had to present something to the board as a starting base.
But that's why we're not voting on it.
Yeah,
today either,
this is
because
just
we're
the
not.
FYI.
Yeah.
And just to keep going, we went into the FEMA, which put a tailspin into them working more. So since September the 25th, we have been working on that. This draft was just put out as a starting base to start the process. The fire chiefs meet once a month, and like Maxie said, they meet quarterly. So this is just the first step in it. This is the base. Will it work with, and Maxie's right, this is, if you look at Washington County, they are a paid facility. But some of the terms and conditions in there that meets the fire program, and Wesley will agree, some of these things will have to be included. So, I'm conversing with the state fire program on this, and they said, go ahead and pull this one and do a combination, and that'll be your starting base, and then you can whittle it and modify it and amend it, however Russell County needs it to operate.
But this doesn't call for the merger of any.
No. But there
Risky
is
Scott with fire department.
There is talk on the street, and this is coming from the governor. Now, this is not Russell County. This is through the governor himself. The Department of Emergency Management, due to certain issues, and I won't go into that, that's a state business, from the Department of Health is looking at moving under the Department of Homeland Security. So there will be regulations here that we will have to follow as far as the state, because what the governor is wanting is efficiency. What model works the best? What agencies works the best? If we're going to sit and provide grant funding to the agencies, the local agencies of fire and the rescue, what model works the best? So we're dealing with an internal movement and trying to what works in Russell County. At the simultaneously, we're trying to work with the governor's office and the Department of Emergency Management. There has also been things that have came up during the FEMA, during this storm, as far as communication, which have been conveyed to the board before. And my sheriff's department and the rescue 911 will tell you right now, we can stand across the street and we can't communicate with the state police. That caught the governor's radar, so is in the process of developing a task force to look at fire, rescue, and public safety and sheriff's department all in one. That way we can operate in the protocols all together the way we should during a incident. That's a long way around it, but that's it. Here's the point. It's a draft. We're going to get the process. No one will be left out.
I just wanted to make sure that was clarified because
Yes.
that's how it was put to me.
It
And I
is.
don't want y'all to think that, you know what I mean.
We're not moving ahead of you.
I want to make sure that you all know that this isn't a final anything.
No, it's first step.
Mr. Chair, if I may, I would suggest that you put together a committee that would look at this, that would be a fair committee, across the board committee that would have a board of supervisor or two on it. Also,
Fire and rescue.
yeah, the
Sheriff,
whole
and Sheriff,
gamut.
911.
Yes, just like we do another
So,
research and find committee, so to speak. So I would suggest that you do that. That's only a suggestion.
volunteers.
Yeah.
Anybody wants, feels a dying need to serve on this committee?
Emergency management. So
Huh?
it would be to be able to decide on what we work between the feds and the state, what the governors want to implement, what the county wants to implement, well, specifically the board of supervisors. A board member on it, I'm going to have fire and rescue, emergency management, the sheriff's department, the 911. Everyone is that big manual that's sitting on Tara's desk as the emergency operational plan. Those key stakeholders have to be involved, because once we go into an incident, whether it's a major flood incident or fire, but just a regular incident, rescue, fire, and the sheriffs are automatically into the protocols together. So you got to have those key stakeholders at the table. That way, when we set these protocols, this is what will be enacted. And that was some of the things that the governor wanted to ensure. Because a lot of counties did, even though we're out and we've got that large manual, our protocols are some of the best Cadillac versions EMS will tell you. That's in the state. That's why we handled so well, clearing the roads and the routes. And, FEMA has reached out to us to even look at what we're doing so far. So this is another step to fine tune what we're doing in-house and make it better.
Okay.
Well, I would volunteer for that.
Okay.
I'll do it with you. If you want to do it, I'll do it with you.
That'd be good. Yeah, Tara's already
Okay.
started reading the
I-
emergency operational.
I have been on you a lot, haven't I,
Thank you.
Lonzo?
Thank you, Nate. Thank you,
Let's
Mr.
put
Pastor.
Tara
Thank you.
and Nate on that committee,
Let's,
and you get the rest of the committee together.
I will get the other
Sheriff's
agencies together. Yes, sir.
Make sure.
And
let's set the
bring that-
meetings
bring that-
after work hours.
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
set the meetings after work
Well, the
hours.
good thing about the fire and rescue, they meet it in the afternoons. That's
Perfect.
because during the day is very.
Perfect.
Yep.
Just report back to the board by the next December meeting, Lonzo, if you
Yes,
would,
sir.
please. Okay, we finally made it down to you, to the OAA individual grant for Isaiah House.
Yes, sir. I'll just I'll assume that the second item, the Sunday sale of beer, has been sufficiently debated, so I won't speak on that. The OAA project with Isaiah House, we're still into contract negotiations. I've gotten a revised draft from Isaiah House on Halloween, so just this week. You have a copy of the draft that I sent the Isaiah House in your board packet. In section 3B, we've had some changes come back from Isaiah House regarding other jurisdictions that are served. I think everyone recognizes that if and when the Isaiah House becomes operational in Russell County, it's going to serve other jurisdictions around the county. So not just Russell County DSS cases, but also from Tazewell, Buchanan County, Dickinson County, Smith County, Washington County. DSS is a collaborative bunch in that they've got a problem to solve, and they pull resources together as much as they can regionally. We're having some debate with Isaiah House about how those costs are recouped. So essentially looking out for Russell County's DSS unit, we're trying to avoid the situation where Russell County DSS case has no room at the Russell County Isaiah House because of other jurisdictions. So we're working through that language to try to come to a middle ground on what they will use our funds for versus other jurisdictions' funds. And I'm trying to balance. My language said that they will seek a reasonable reimbursement or reasonable recoupment of costs relative to other jurisdictions outside of Russell County. So if we're getting kids from all over the region, Russell County would not be footing the bill for each kid that comes into service through this Isaiah House program. And what they're suggesting is that We just designate any Russell County funds will be used for Russell County DSS cases only, and any non-Russell County DSS case will be supplanted by Isaiah House, other Isaiah House funding, so not our OAA grant funds. That's really been the piece that we've been going back and forth on, as well as their capital expenditures versus their operating expenditures. I received a budget between the last meeting and this one, breaking those down, and those will also be incorporated into the agreement. Shorter version, I could have just told you we're still working on it. We're almost there, but these grants do take some time to get the contract language right. Outside of that, those are my two items on the agenda, and I won't belabor this, but something I wanted to offer to the board to think about. You know, you guys pass ordinances from time to time, you repeal ordinances from time to time, you amend them from time to time, and it's hard to keep up with them. For the citizens of Russell County, or for me even as county attorney, you know, I have to request those of your county administrator, and he'll go back and pull in the ordinance book. And so there's a valid record there, but you all could think about codification of your laws and your ordinances moving forward, and it would be a cost. And I'm not a decision maker on the board, but you know, 2024, we have the technology and the ability to electronically reference all our ordinances, and I think your public would benefit greatly from being able to go research the ordinances that affect themselves and the businesses of the county. Just think on that as you're planning over the next couple of years. It'll be a long process. It'll probably kill Lonzo to have to dig all that up. We don't want to do that. So just know that that's something y'all could look at in the future to help the county have a clean slate of ordinances for the rest of the time, for now and for the rest of the time. Thank you.
It's a great idea.
Thank you, Will. Hey, Alonzo.
Thank you, Will. Now he's quiet. Yeah, money.
Hey, Alonzo, you got 3 minutes.
Okay.
Long time.
All right. Thank you, Chair, for the 3 minutes. Russell County Administrator reports and requests. First on the reports is, of course, the Russell County Road Reporting System. That's the individuals that report issues on the road. As y'all can see in your packet, and you can take a look at that, what's in your area. Second one is the VDOT's monthly road report. That's what they're doing and what they have fixed or repaired or maintained or what's on contract. Please take a look at that report too. Again, which we just discussed, which was the Russell County Emergency Services Ordinance, which is a draft. Like I said, this is in its infant stages. We're just looking for solutions from everyone and all the stakeholders in this, because what we implement into the emergency operational plan has to be approved by the Emergency Management Council and the state of Virginia and the rest. So it's got to be really valid. And there was some of the lessons learned during the FEMA. There were some gaps that we did even at the state level and the federal level. And like I said, the communication, even at the local level, we could stand beside the street. We couldn't talk to the state or the feds, and we could wave at each other, even though we're on the same system. We have the same radios that the state police have and the sheriff's department have, and we could not communicate between each other. We had state police driving by incidents and didn't even know it was on call through the 911. And the governor said this will not happen again. So he has directed his emergency management staff. I had the transition team from the governor's office down here this week, and these were the key issues that were discussed as lessons learned. Again, they complimented Russell County on its quick response and its maintained response on recovery. But we do have some great agencies during the emergencies. These guys are the best, I'm telling you. As far as the rescue and the fire departments and the sheriffs and the local agencies that responded, they are the best. If we could have got AEP, we would have had it made, but I'll go into that later. Next on the county administrator reports is the next part of the board's issues is the VACO preliminary legislative program that's coming up. It's at the end of the year. Boy, this year went quick. And of course, we got the Southwest Virginia reception legislation, make you aware, on January the 29th, 2025. Take a look in your packet on those preliminary legislative issues that are up for agenda. And then that way, when we attend into the January meetings with the governor and the state departments and the legislators, that we can advocate for what's best for Russell County. Next on the reports is, of course, the Russell County Sheriff's Office annual Christmas with a COP program, and I've also got the Russell County DSS Elderly White Christmas program. Now, I put it into the reports, but it's at the discretion of the Board of Supervisors if they want to make a donation to these causes, these two events. So I'll leave that up to the governing board.
What did we do last time?
500.
I'll make a
500 to each one?
Well, last year, as Rebecca Dye would tell you, Miss Dye, I can't keep saying Dye, so I got two Dyes. So, they have a program that does the elderly, and they have reached out this time because some of them did get something or, into the elderly program. And Tara Dye can speak on to it more because she's on the DSS side. So, they're both asking for contributions, from at the discretion of the
Did we do 500 to each of them last year?
We did not have the elderly white Christmas last year.
Gotcha.
We only had the Christmas with the cop.
Yeah.
I'd like to make a motion that we do that. What do y'all think? 500 each. So.
I'll second.
Now that's what state your motion. Is that 500 to each of them?
Yeah, 500 to each. Let's see, Shop with a Cop and the Elderly White Christmas.
I'll second that.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Does everybody understand the motion?
Since
All in
we're-
favor of this motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Hey, Steve,
Yes, sir.
I was going to speak in discussion, but we voted too quick. Let's encourage these departments to get with our churches. Our churches are looking for something to help the community in. And I know everybody likes to come to old Uncle Sam with their hand out, but these churches are wanting to help people. And maybe they just don't know. Maybe they do know and they have helped in the past, but maybe we could encourage them to help these organizations and let these organizations know. I don't know if Lonzo has a list of our churches. I know there's a ministerial committee. Maybe they can go by and see some of these churches, and that 500, that's a whole lot, but the churches might even be willing to do more than that.
You have the Ministerial Association, but you also have a Christian Coalition. Yes. That you could provide them with lists.
Absolutely.
And then just the average citizen can, which I'll speak on that. I will thank you.
Okay.
Could you post something on the website to that effect? These are opportunities for the people to contribute.
That would be good.
I will do that.
Okay.
And then back to Shop with the Cop, a lot of towns and businesses, they contribute. So as also with the White Christmas, you'll have businesses, First Bank, everybody's contributing. So, DSS is one that, they're is involved in it extensively because it involves the elderly. And that this is actually the first time since I've been here in 10 years that they've actually asked for funding, haven't they, Rebecca? So
Or maybe it's something our churches are participating in, or maybe aren't participating in as much as in the past. But if we can encourage our churches and our church members to help these organizations, I think it's worthy for anybody to help, but our churches especially. And I do know our churches look for things to help out in our community, and I feel like we underutilize our churches on some of these programs, and these two programs I think the churches would be more than happy to help out on.
that's a very good point. Very good point. Okay. Next on county administrator reports is just housekeeping. Russell County School Energy Performance.
What? Yeah, we voted.
Yeah,
on
we
that.
did.
I know we got.
I wouldn't have went on if I didn't get the money.
We did discussion after.
We voted.
Sorry.
Oh, you're fine, Dave. Next on the county administrator reports is, of course, the Russell County School Energy Performance Credit. This was the Board of Supervisors upgraded all the schools for natural gas and water and roofing and et cetera on a major project. This was also approved by the U.S. Treasury Department. This is the credit that comes back annually for energy performance that we get from the Department of Treasury. So it comes back to the school to supplement the principal payment of $119,438.07. That was part of their energy efficient programs that was initiated, I think, 6 years ago. Stephen David and Rebecca and Lou was in.
It's been here a while.
It pays almost 40% of the principal loan and balance on the loan. So this is the annual appropriation that comes back to the school.
Do you just turn around and use that to pay down the principal?
Yes,
Is
sir.
that what you're saying?
Yes, sir. We apply that all to that principal loan.
Good.
Yes, sir. Next is the county administrator request. Of course, as we had discussed before, the fire and rescue, this is Russell County FEMA. Of course, Russell County was approved for FEMA emergency and debris, public assistance and individual assisted declaration. We have been working with all the federal and state agencies. Of course, y'all see in your packet that we have been approved for each one of these individual programs. We also, as here is the daily fact sheet that we get out of FEMA on the hurricane. As you all can see, as individuals right now, and actually that number is up to about 548 this morning. The individuals have applied for assistance. That is individuals only. That doesn't include businesses, farms, or public assistance, or emergency debris removal, or infrastructure. So that's just how fast that we're going up. Now, that's about 548 individual families that have applied online for individual assistance. Now, as you will see, and I'm going to skip on to my next one, as far as the Wellspring, Russell County received $500,000 in assistance to be able to help individuals that was not covered by the FEMA, or individuals that didn't meet the eligibility or the cutoffs, like for assistance through DSS. So the DSS, the Board of Supervisors, during the meantime, took $100,000 of the $500,000 that we were appropriated and helped over 550 families that wasn't eligible for the FEMA. So we had the families that were eligible for FEMA, the SNAP. These were the ones that were having a hard time, that met eligibility criteria, that were above that just due to income, but did not have food or food assistance, and had family number up from 1 member to 6 members in a family. So each one of those screened, the DSS took it upon themselves to work this program over a 2-day period to take major applications. And again, we brought in over 500 more additional families. So we're getting the FEMA to kick in, we're getting the grants to kick in, and so we've served over 1,000 families just with these two components out of Russell County. Of course, like I said, as you can see here, we're congratulated on our public assistance, and what that means is our public assistance is for the infrastructures and the roads and water, sewer, and facilities. So we're going through and doing analysis on what we have. We were actually very lucky. We were blessed during this time. We got a lot of wind. We do have a lot of trees and down, and we had 6 structures, 6 homes that were destroyed, 4 homes and 2 mobile homes that is currently working with FEMA and emergency management on those. So then on to the agriculture.
Hang on just a minute.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Sometimes we don't appreciate the things that are done, but I was there in the office numerous times. I think Steve was too. Alonzo was fighting tooth and nail to get funding.
Yeah.
And we owe you a lot of gratitude, Alonzo, for your hard work.
Thank you.
I'm telling you, you went to battle for the citizens of this county. And I know what you were asking for was lower, but after you started explaining to them the need, they gave you more than you wanted. and that's a blessing. That's a true blessing of how that all worked out for you to be able to plant the seed and get the harvest from it. So
Yeah,
I am really grateful for your hard work.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, if I may tag on to Mr. Eaton's comments, I do appreciate the money. I do appreciate you working hard to get that. My question is, on the extra money that folks didn't really know about, how did you figure out how to get the word out to get those extra 500 applications or 500? What was it? So I just want to know, do you have a tracking device or a tracking system that you could tell me as in District 2, District 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, if who received those? I don't need to know who, but I need to know my numbers. So did District 2 get, did they get the word that they came and did this? So they, or was it all concentrated in one certain area? Where, how did the word get out?
Okay. As far as the DSS, the way they did this, when the event went down to FEMA, there was a lot of families that came in for DSNAP, which is Disaster SNAP. So there was a lot of applications that were coming in before the individual FEMA even went. So they had a lot of applications. So it didn't really go across, and this is the one program. So they had a group of these individuals that were eligible for DSNAP, and then they had eligibility applications above, and that's the ones they already knew that were countywide. It didn't go to a district or anything. Then in addition, during that time, because of the electricity was off and the communication, the elderly, and the ones that don't do it, we went out on Facebook and we did calls and tried to get everybody in on this. And there's another component on this that I'm going to ask for the board for later. So during that time, based off of the applications that we had in place and the ones that showed up, which was enormous, the parking lot was packed, and we were able to distribute $100,000, not with just the 500 individual family, not in addition to the DSNAP, but we went above that eligibility to pick up another 550 families above that. So right now, of the $500,000 that was appropriated by the Wellspring Foundation to be able to assist it, when, like Mr. Eaton was saying, when I started negotiating with them, I tried to get $100,000 from them, and then I kept going into different things and we ended up at $500,000. Now, one of that components is not just to the families, but it's to help with future events, events like, especially we're going into the winter months. So one of the things that I approached Wellspring was, I need some funding to step up, upgrade the community centers and fire departments with generators, permanent generators, to be able to make these into shelters. Because under the code, where there's two types of shelters, and me and Turdi was talking about it yesterday, there's county shelters that we can implement ourselves with local funds and money. Now, we also, Mr. Eden and Mr. Breeding and some of the other board members, we've been advocating the feds, Mark Warner and Kane, to give up, but we've been promised that about $2 million to implement and put FEMA shelters in, which is a different criteria. So what we're trying to do is a two-step approach to get the shelters in, the rescue squads, or the fire departments to be able to handle this, and then come in with the big federal money, which it will have to meet federal guidelines and codes, which is restrictive, and that would help out the schools. Now, these generators that go into the schools would help with two things. First, in the FEMA requirements is you got to have fire suppression systems in their kitchens. It's not like a community center. It's not like a fire department where I can bring everybody in, house 50, put them in cots, give them coffee, and I can give them a bologna sandwich and house 50 into there. Now, if it goes into what we call priority 1, 2, or 3 in those emergency operation plans, when it goes up to that level, we can bring them into the schools on these big generators that we're getting from the feds from congressional direct spending that was promised to us during this event that Mr. Warner's going to sign off directly. Those will go into the 3 high schools. Those 3 generators will, one, it will make you into a priority 1 event that which we want to plan for a county-wide event for those schools to be able to house all 3 high schools, one. Number 2 is it gives us an opportunity to work with the schools because during the electrical out, they lost food. So this is going to help them solve their problem, us solve our problem with community assist FEMA shelters and also local shelters. So when I was sitting and talking with the governor's transition team this week in FEMA, when they sat and listened to what we were doing, they liked that idea, and it was wanting other communities to be able to implement this. When we get these schools in and get the fire departments in and get the community centers in, we're going to have over 27 shelters in place. There's no other county in the state of Virginia. I'm going to say it right now. The governor will say it right here. His transition team, which is a personal assistant in the transition that he reports to directly, they have never heard of this. Not that many. They said, we wish that Eastern Virginia would do this because they didn't have places for their people to be able to come to because I had to work with FEMA and you meet all the guidelines, hoops, and regulations. But I can bring them in to Dane, give them a cup of coffee. If they have to stay, I can house so many families. Or we can bring them into the Dane Rescue, which is already being upgraded. So is the Dane Community Center, or we can bring them into Cleveland, which we have already discussed with them, and bring them in there. But if it goes into a major priority 1 event per the emergency operation plan, we'll have 3 high schools with the gymnasiums that we can open up immediately.
A quick question, Lonzo, and David knows this too, with Homeacre. If it's an extended period, you're going to probably have to have 2, because if it's a while, you have to have showers. That's part of the thing.
That is correct.
The gym is over here with your shower. Your high school building is over here with your kitchen. You're probably going to have 2 in that one facility. I'm not sure how some of the Lebanon high schools all under one roof. I'm not in Castlewood, but no, Homeacre's a different thing. So how quickly, and we all know, unfortunately, winter's around the corner, how quickly are these agencies going to get these generators? I mean, hey, temperatures are starting to drop. We're going to start getting snow. We're going to start losing electricity. How quickly are these places getting these?
That's a very good point, and that was one of the things we knew that was coming up. And as far as winter was around the corner, now we usually go into snowstorms, and these durations aren't, long in durations. But where I'm getting to is my staff has already went his own route in specking out at the qualifications for all the community centers and the fire departments to be able to put them in. So we're ordering those immediately. Now the 3 high schools, which is a priority 1, which would be a major disaster, those will have to go through the CDS. And and you're correct, they have to have showers and fire suppression. Now, one of the things we're working around at the Cleveland Fire Department is he can cook, serve everything, got microwaves, ice machines, everything in that auxiliary room, same way Belfast does and same way that the other areas do. But he's also got showers in the fire department, which they have because firemen, when they come back from a shower, they've got it. So I can wire them, and I don't have to meet the qualifications of a FEMA shelter. So you're going to have, other than the big 3 high schools, you're going to have like 21 to 24 shelters in place to be able to move without the big 3 high schools in. We will get to 3 high schools because that was a promise, and Steve and David were there, and they know what was obligated to us. Now, those big generators, and Nate is an expert in this, and he knows those are not cheap. Those are looking at $250,000 movements per unit to be implemented and be able to get them wired and installed. So that is the long strategic plan from priority 1, priority 2, and priority 3 steps through these shelters.
But you're saying that our community centers and that sort of thing, fire, EMS, the county shelters should be up and going.
As soon as we
like,
can.
soon.
As soon as
Like,
we,
very
as
soon.
soon as we can get, we actually, the DANG, which we are already put in for the community center and the rescue is already in place. And actually, when we were talking about this, the governor stepped in, his transition team, and told emergency management, because one, no disrespect, and we told him, no disrespect to the feds, it's hard to get the money they promise you, and then you have to go through so much procedures. They fast tracked it. I didn't know if you knew that. You do now. So they're fast tracking that availability to be able to go to the street with these immediately. Now there is one but in this. Now Nate would tell you, now that this event has happened, everybody wants a generator. I'm sorry. We bought, and they're sitting over in these storage buildings. We have brand new generators that are portable, because what we had to do during this event was make sure while the electricity is off, one of the events and the learning points was that during this event, it wasn't winter, so you could open your doors. But one thing that we were able to do was maintain water. Water is essential. That way, you could wash, you could do some minor cooking. If you had a propane grill, you could cook as long as you could do the water. So what a lot of people don't know, during that time, the PSA staff was absolutely on a 24/7 movement, running generators around these tanks to pump them up to keep the gravity flow, so that everyone that was on county water would keep water. Very rare did we ever get low during this time frame. And the governor's transition team, FEMA, thought that was just amazing. And that was, so what they said, how on these tanks, how much do you need? So we're putting another list together through the state to be able to look at the tanks and permanent generators within there. But again, I'm trying to grab them as fast as I can with the current market, because everybody ran to Walmart and Lowe's and Home Depot, and they bought everything on the shelf. But not to be facetious, but everything is in planning and learning. But let's go back to during the transition team. One of the things that came out is, like I said, the fire and rescue, the county, the agencies, the sheriff's department, everyone worked together. We had every road, 99%, this is documented, turned into FEMA, all routes open within 4 days. That was unheard of. They knew that VDOT didn't participate. No disrespect to VDOT, but they had their hands full with the large primaries, the interstate, Damascus, and the rest. So we did this in-house, and they said, well, what can we do to help y'all? Y'all are already, into the recovery mode. What can we help y'all do? And that was part of the PSA, the generators, to be able to help to get the food, shelters, and sustain it for other events.
Well, one thing I'd like to say too, in the discussion that we had with Congressman Griffith and Senator Warner from the Senate side and the congressional side, they actually really came together to see the need. And to Rebecca's, she had a good point there as far as the schools. We had talked to them also, Rebecca, about these portable bathroom units, showers and bathroom units on trailers. And I think we ought to ask or get as much as we possibly can for any future events, so we can pull them up on site and for people to have, we just got to have access to water and stuff. But, to be able to flush them out or whatever. But we looked at that, and to Lou's point, I think her question was, and I think it's great, what she brought up was, how do we communicate with the full county? And that's something I think we need to do is look at an all-call service like the schools does. Anytime, the schools, they send out an all-call to about everybody in the county. So I think that to answer Lou's thing, to make sure, because a lot of people don't know. I had people contact me and they was kind of upset. They said, well, I didn't know nothing about it. I said, well, it's kind of hard in that time of need to get the word out to everybody. I understand that. But I think we need to have a system in place, be proactive and send out an all-call to all the citizens to let them know that. And it wouldn't hurt to send out an all call, let them know after, when all this stuff gets put in place, what we have to offer them as a community.
Well, the good thing about that is y'all just approved I am responding last week.
Yeah.
So we're putting that in place. Now what that entails is not to be able to take it. Citizens can sign up for notifications. If they'll sign up, we can just, and we're going to put that in the paper. Please sign up on the Facebook and web pages and posts. Once we get this in place, and Jared just notified me this week that we're very close, that I am that those notifications will go out to the public.
I mean,
so we can do
text
yeah,
them,
it does. It'll text. It'll do a robocall, and then
So do you have to have the cell phone service?
you do. Now,
And
what
see,
do
a
we
lot
do?
of folks don't do Facebook.
I know
And
it.
when electricity's off, you're off. No TV, no internet. So back to my point is we had a command center inside a community that didn't know we had to go door to door. We physically had to go door to door. The St. Paul Fire Department, rescue squad folks, the community people had to go door to door to take care of our citizens. And that's, everybody in here has got a holler somewhere has no communication. So I was just wondering, my thing was, thank you, David, was how do you get the word out to the people that really need to apply for the money?
I think our fire and our EMS, they generally know the people. I mean, don't you, Maxie? You generally know the ones that are kind of cut off and whatever. And if we could have something maybe within whatever we're going to talk about with the committee or whatever, that sets up kind of a line of command, this
policy.
gets issued. Yeah,
Put
this
the policy
gets issued
in place as we develop this new ordinance.
Yeah, I think that would work because,
how the chain of command works.
Yeah. Because Maxie would tell you during that, and she came and got food when we had the FEMA distribution. She knew who her immediate families were.
Mm-hmm.
Each one, you're right, Ms. Dye. They do know which ones it is, and they did distribute. But I mean, can never be enough communication. But when we went to a blackout, that was the first county event.
Yeah.
This is good lessons learned. We handled it well, but I mean, there's always room for improvement.
Oh yeah, I mean, if we
And
just have that one.
we'll get it out. But these things that we're implementing, like the AIM responding and these calls, robocalls that we have in place, that the emergency management has, we'll get it back on the street to get everybody to do. And you won't. You're right. When it goes down, even when electricity goes down, I don't know about y'all, but we had to plug into the cars, and we were running our cell phones. The county was to try to operate. We were living in a truck.
Well,
but
this event was unique, like you said, because we've never been down that much.
Not down totally.
And honestly, I mean, you think about what Asheville and all that went through, and then even a few years ago, what Whitewood and Hurley went through. We're right in the middle of Damascus and Whitewood and Hurley.
Yes.
It is not unheard of that we would have this again. I hope and pray not, but now that we see what's going on, we really do need to take it and run with it and learn from it and implement different things.
Well, one of the things that Andrew had mentioned, and one of the things that we were incurring, a very good idea. It was take some of this federal money to be able to, or the donation or the grants to be able to do an oxygen machine. That's a big one.
Oh yeah.
So you don't know. We ran oxygen. I mean, it took a team.
Yeah.
We gave out vehicles just to be able to run oxygen or support oxygen machines during this time.
Well,
So we're looking at what the cost of one and implementing them one into a logistic. Let them decide which way it'd be best to run it, and let's purchase an oxygen machine.
And I was just thinking too, Mr. Lester, the ham radio community. Now that would work in that. If you had volunteers, if you had people that were interested in getting certified, that's what North Carolina has used. I mean, that's all.
Go back to old school.
Yeah, and that's all they've had, and it's worked really, really good. So
All this kind of leads into something that's been on my mind for a while. It's based on an article I read that all counties really need to have a communication plan. And I think that's really what we're talking about. We're skirting the edges of it. So I think probably what we need to do, Lonzo, is develop some sort of communication plan that talks about all these different instances and the protocols that you would use. You know, if this situation happens, if that situation, this is how we handle it, this is how we handle it. You know, so
That's going to do the emergency.
we'll try to work on that a little bit.
Absolutely.
But, and Tara,
Mhm.
if that storm hadn't corrected from a northwesterly direction,
Yeah.
or northeasterly direction to a northwest would have put it right across Whitfield.
Yep.
North would have put it right across Wise County.
I think
Northwest
yep.
put it over western North Carolina.
We
and
could
east.
have thought it horrible. Yeah.
Yeah, we would have been in the eye of the storm.
Yeah, we really were blessed. I agree. Thank God.
It's sad that other people, you know, took the brunt of the storm.
It is.
We could have easily
It could have just
Same
as easy been us. I agree.
So we have went over the emergency debris removal, the status of removing the trees. We went over the individual assistance that's eligible. Everyone does that online. We have the library set up, and we got in Homeacre. We also have the one set up in Lebanon for doing individual assistance, and the emergency management, and my staff is assisting too. And then we go into the public assistance. We're looking at the generators for the PSAs to be able to look at what we're doing internally. Then the next component, of course, is the individuals and the businesses. They're doing their thing too. We've had that. We're getting ready to implement this week. We're actually in negotiation with our emergency management is for a FEMA command center is coming into Russell County next week. We're looking at leasing. FEMA is paying for it. So that's another thing to be able to help the individuals, the businesses and the farmers with. And that's where I'm going with this. As you can see on the screen right now, this is the damage assessment from the hurricane just in Russell County alone. We had more farm damage than anything combined, which is right now at about $8 million at a minimum. Not everybody's reported, unfortunately, but they're in the process of. So right now we're at $8 million on it, and the governor has moved that component because of Southwest Virginia, the agricultural importance of it. He's also got a small task force working with emergency management and FEMA for the farm assistance alone. So we've got about everything covered from the individual, from the initial emergency to the individual to the business to the public infrastructure and now the farms. So that entails about 99%, 98% of everything that's in Russell County. Now, that helps with this event, but in the meantime, while we're trying to prep up, get all this done for clear this up and recovery from it, we're also planning for the next event, which is probably a snow event. So that's where we're going with this.
Mr. Lester, I had a question presented to me that I think now would probably be a good time to talk about the farms. The USDA aid is a cost share.
It is a cost share.
So essentially you repair your fence and then you're going to be reimbursed at some point. The question I was asked is there going to be any like grants or just funding to the farms that receive damage to help build these barns back? Or is it going to be out-of-pocket expense that's going to be reimbursed?
Well, as you look on here, we'll go with fence first. You see they're estimating that $6 a linear foot on that, and I think you mentioned that before in previous conversations. The farm structures, you're looking at 14 barns at 22 structure extensive damage of 89, which is about an average of $8,500 per structure. Now, working with FEMA and working with these agencies and different grants in FEMA, I know, and you hear about houses and house replacements. Some will get enough to recovery. Some of them will be lowballed, as I call it. They're negotiated. Where I'm getting at with this, it's almost incident to incident. There's no across the board. We give this to everybody. It's almost an evaluation by evaluation, and that's why the FEMA team will do the evaluations. Now, one of the things I want you to remember is during this transition team and the governor's team, whatever you do, I don't care if you're an individual putting in for you lost what was in your refrigerator or what lost someone is at the house, if it's that or a business or a farm, if you're not satisfied with the FEMA evaluation or appraisal, appeal it. We're being told through the background, if you have a problem, you appeal. I mean, you appeal immediately because you're pushing back. If you don't, then you're just going to be satisfied and they're going to go on to the next person. But we're being told, the governor's staff, the transition team, our emergency management state regional teams that works with FEMA is telling us, if you don't get what you want on the first try, you push. And then that's why this center, this recovery disaster center is, you go talk to them, push one-to-one then. So, but right now, some of the ones that's coming through, we're going through the evaluations, like I said, what between emergency management, what's being done online. But some of it's where you get into the big numbers. Of course, they look at whether you have homeowners insurance first, then they look at your income level, individually level. It's just what it is. And that's what we took from that 100,000 that went above that. We had some of them that did not meet the 300% of poverty level, but they were $1,000 over. Then you got a family of 4 or 5 at a 300% poverty level that's just making 1,000. That's nothing. Yeah, I mean, you can spend that with kids of 6 in a couple of months just buying groceries. That's nothing. So that's why the board went above with the 100,000 to the additional 500 families. Now, out of the 500, we gave 100,000. Now, the next, what I'm estimating just on the little community centers, based off of what we have got in and the grants that we already got in place to get the other ones up, and the ones that already have them, I'm estimating another 200,000 of the 500,000 that will go to the shelters. And then I'll go after the big money for the big generators, and that includes actually the 3 high schools and a couple other nonprofits like the Rosedale Baptist Church and the Green Valley Church. Now, see, Green Valley it's on the list as that priority emergency operation plan, which we have in place with the protocols. It is a shelter, but it's not a FEMA shelter. Now, it has the showers in it, it has the gymnasium, it has everything in it except for a generator. And so we can partner with nonprofits like that with CDS money. So is the Rosedale Baptist Church. So we're going after those.
Creek Baptist Church.
And the Swords Creek Baptist Church. Yes, you can use this. So all of these things are going to be put in at one time because, like I said, we asked for 100,000 to start and we got 500. Mark gave us, Central Warner gave us $2 million to play with. So we'll push that to 2.5 to see what we can get and see if we can't get these places, up a minute. But again.
So, Mr. Lester, I'm sorry I'm interrupting you, but back to the fencing and the barn thing. Aren't they supposed to use their insurance first? And then, if they're part of the soil and water with best management practices, possibly federal money has already constructed a barn for that particular farm. So,
some
protocols would be that you would maybe go back to soil and water. Do they have their own pot of money that they're working on along with USDA and FSA?
Soil and water, not yet. They do not yet.
Okay, but
now,
they
to my
do
knowledge, I'm answering for them. This came through, the co-op and the USDA and the feds on these numbers this is actually reported. This is real. These are from farmers that said in Russell County. Now, if the soil and water implemented it, then there's a few of them, but there's a lot of farms in Russell County. Y'all know the number. There is a lot of farms in Russell County that's designated. And
but wouldn't that be based on an insurance value of your barn? I'm just saying.
It is.
If I had a 100-year-old barn, it may be appraised at some other fee or some other piece of money, I guess you would say, than what a brand new
$200,000 structure.
Well, what is happening is, of course, you have insurance. That whether you're an individual or not, even if you have one on a home, first thing they ask you, do you have homeowners insurance? And a lot of people don't have flood insurance. That's another component. What do you do? Because if you're sitting in an elevation, it doesn't help, because this was high winds. Now, we went through the individual platforms and looked at just doing applications, and this was due to high wind because we didn't get a lot of water. The 6 houses that was destroyed by high wind and trees. It was not water. So FEMA has a hard time, crossing that line into, flooding versus high water, because we know I had the floodplain FEMA from the feds out of Washington, D.C. in my office yesterday morning. Now, as everyone knows, and Miss Dice talked to it, and Luann has too, Cleveland is in a floodplain. Dayton is in a floodplain. Now, but what occurrence that we had during these incidents, the damage that was incurred was due to high winds. And that was where the damage, not only just to the individuals, but to farms. So, some of them, Water didn't, to be able to cover this, I'd have to get with Scotty to see which ones have been implemented by Fed fund money versus their money.
Yes, they have cost share. So
yes.
The federal government has a cost share with USDA, and so they're all intertwined. So that was just my question is, I think back to Andrew's point, is there has to be steps and procedures for the common person to be able to figure out how to plug in and take care of their property, as opposed, and I don't know who does that.
USDA.
I don't know. Well, that shouldn't come, I don't think it should be at the board level per se, but we're involved in that because of the FEMA process, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So there should be, you get a phone call and somebody says, well, they're just going to send you to here, there, and yonder. So I'm just saying, is there a comprehensive way, which we're back to policy again, is there a comprehensive way for the farming community and the agricultural community to be able to plug in and say, well, I've checked my insurance, I've done this, I've done that, I've got the cost of the best management practices in place, but I've got my cost share, which is, all this is not going to be free, because there probably is a piece of money that you, the homeowner, or the barn owner, or the fence owner has to have skin in the game, so to speak.
As you go through the federal or the FEMA or the co-op, each one of them is playing on the same level of guidelines. So if they walk into the co-op, if they can't handle them there, they send them up to the USDA. They're working with the same set of guidelines, but all farmers know those 3 point of contacts.
They should, yes.
They do. You can bet. Every one of the farmers, don't enter, they know who to.
I don't know what people know. I've had so many calls that just people don't know where to go,
yes.
who to turn to.
Yes.
And I'll tell them to contact the extension agent. I tell them to contact the USDA office over here. And if you can't get help, call me back. Well, fortunately, very few call me back until recently. I've spent $10,000 on wire and posts and paying somebody to help me build my fence. I'm waiting on this cost share. What do? Is there going to be any money to help me finance this, or am I going to have to start selling cattle to build my fence back because my cattle won't stay in till my fence is built? So we've got to the point now that we're at a different issue. Folks are running out of money to fix their stuff, and they can't get USDA fund and cost share, which I think is 75-25.
It is 75-25.
They can't get that until they complete fixing their property.
That's right.
So they can't complete half and then turn it in and then complete the other half. They have to complete it all. Well, they're out of money to complete it all. The USDA tells them, well, you can sign up for this loan. Well, folks don't want to do that. They timid of borrowing money, or I don't know.
It's
is there going to be any way that we can just, because then they're hearing that FEMA's just coming and just giving you money. So the farm isn't getting given money, but the folks that lost their freezer are getting given money. So here we are. And I don't know what to tell people. I like try to build it yourself. I even asked them yesterday. I was like, "Can you turn in certain tracks?" You know, if you look at everything that my grandfather, myself, and my dad's accumulated, it's in like 15 different farm numbers and tracks as far as the USDA is concerned. I said, "Can I complete one at a time and turn them in and be paid for them?" I didn't necessarily say that for myself. I said that because of what we're discussing now is I'm sure other people are in the same situation I am. You can complete one thing, turn it in, and get money for it. They didn't know. So here I am today asking here, and we don't know either. So
The farm one is a hard one because it's out of the umbrella. You know, it's under FEMA, but it's not. It's under the USDA, and you know, and we're communicating with them, and the farmers they have worked with Soil and Water. They've worked with the USDA in the past and the co-ops because of the cattle and the farms and ones those farmers, but knowing where these funding portions come from is very confusing. And it is, and it's frustrating because it's a reimbursement rather than an upfront cost. It is. It's a 75, like you said, 75-25, but it's not as easy as quick as a business, because I can do a business because you got either business insurance or you go under the FEMA, or the first thing they will offer is, and that was some of the transition team that offered up for the business is, the SBA is offering the grants the same way they're offering the farms to the USDA. That is their mechanism to be able to do that solution. So either you put it on the farm insurance, or you put it on the homeowner insurance, or you put it on the business insurance first, and then we'll proceed to see what we will cover per the program, depending on whether it's an individual business or a farm. But I haven't seen yet of all the claims that have been done. They're not going to offer, if you've got farm insurance and it covers your barn, they're not going to give you $100,000 for that barn if you have insurance. That's not the way it works.
I think most everybody had insurance on their buildings that I've spoke to. You still got that deductible, but in a lot of cases, the debris removal of the old barn covers the deductible.
Yes.
So essentially, the farmer's out the labor of the debris removal. Then you're going to have to build that back. But here's the next problem. They built the barn in 1980. They hung the backer in it for 20 years. Then they converted it into a hay shed when they quit raising the backer. And it's on the $5,000, what they told their insurance agent in 1980, yeah, my barn's worth $5,000. Well, now it blowed down. And they figured out they got $5,000 worth of insurance because they haven't thought about insurance on this barn since 1980. Then they've got insurance on the contents because fortunately tobacco was worth something and they was afraid it was going to burn down. So they had enough money on the contents, but they didn't have enough money on the structure. So now they're like, how do I build my barn back when I've got $5,000 from the insurance company and that won't even set the
deductible.
And then the USDA tells them, oh, well, build your fence and we'll cost share it when you get done. So they're out of money unless they start borrowing money, and they don't want to borrow money.
And that was
the person that I spoke to. I can't speak for everybody.
And that was one of the key points that was brought up with the transition team. Whether it's individual business, farm, doing this 30 years, doing public assistance, and this is the first time I've had individual in the farms, but I've done a lot of public assistance, floods, snowstorms, high winds, through the state and the feds and working FEMA. I told the governor transition team, no disrespect, like I said, FEMA, I was asking why we proceeded on without the assistance from the state, and I said, well, no disrespect, but getting FEMA here with assistance takes time. We couldn't wait. One. Number two is to get reimbursement on it. It's long. Anybody's ever done a FEMA, I mean, I said, no disrespect, but it took us, even at the state level, 18 months to get reimbursed. I said, how fast is this going to go on the fast track? Because we got individuals here, we got businesses, we got farms. Just like you were talking about, you're doing one track at a time. You might be able to afford it and then take the funds from that and flip it to the next and next and next and continue. That would be the process to go. But there is gaps in the FEMA movement. That's not there. So, and we are working on it. So is the governor's office. How fast can we get it? And as you will see in the papers and the press releases from the governor, he's coming up with individual state money, like $17, $20 million to help out farms. And that would help with a little gap with deductibles and things that the insurance does not cover. But again, would have to apply for it the same way you would, the FEMA or the USDA.
Mr. Lester, your 3 minutes are almost dead.
I know it. We could talk about this all day. It was a lot.
I know.
Again, but if anyone has got questions that's listening out there, get a hold of us. We will get you in point. And like I said, we got a FEMA recovery center that's coming in here. It looks like it's going to be right now, if nothing goes wrong, it will be at the shopping centers down beside Pat's. That's where they're looking at renting space right now. And hopefully we'll get that finished up and in place by this coming week. And they'll be able to help with individual business, farms, or anything. But again, it'll take some of these agencies to be able to fill the gap. Next on the county administrator reports is the Russell County CPMT CSA RAP funding request for $2,100. $2,104.61. I need a motion on this. This is funds that they utilize with school children to receive home-based counseling. So I need a motion for that.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, like sign. There are none.
And again, not to hold the board up too long. This is the Wellspring Foundation. I do have to have a legal motion. But before we do that, like I said, I've got approximately $200,000 estimated for the generators for the community centers. The shelters. Y'all gave out $100,000 DSS. I would like for the board during this motion appropriate, because again, another layer of assistance on this to the 4 food pantries, the 4 certified food pantries in the county that this is eligible for. I have El Garden. I have the Lebanon Food Pantry, I have the Word of Victory, and I have the Woody Scott in Castlewood. I would like to propose, and this would not just cover what food had been done during the FEMA, but also it would help with the Christmas. You got Thanksgiving coming up because the Board of Supervisors helps with turkeys and Christmas. I would like to appropriate $25,000 each to the 4 certified food pantries under the IRS. Be able to give this, and that would include the turkeys and hams for Christmas and Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving and Christmas.
I'll make that motion.
$25,000 each.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Thank you, board. That would be greatly appreciated. Yes, thank you. Next is on the county administrator request is. That's the voucher. Is of course another one asking. This is the Cumberland Plateau Regional Housing Authority. This is the payment in lieu of taxes on the Piston Place apartments for $1,871.10. I need a waiver on that one, and in the same motion, I need a payment in lieu of taxes on the HUD developments, which is $15,201.44 for a combined motion. Those two separate.
You take both of those at the same time, or a separate?
It's the same authority, so.
Both at the same time.
As long as you word it.
Okay, so I'd be happy to offer that because we normally do this anyway.
This is an annual thing.
It's an annual thing, so it's nothing new.
Yes,
So
yes.
I will offer a motion that we do the payment in lieu of taxes for $1,871.10 for the fiscal year March 31, 2024, and also a payment in lieu of taxes for $15,201.44 for the fiscal year ending March 31, 2024.
This is for the low-income housing.
Have a motion to have a second?
Yeah, I'll say.
Motion second, any further discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign? There are none.
Thank you, Chairman. Next on the county administrator request is the Russell County annual turkey. This is for the employees. This is either a turkey or ham. These are certificates that we give through. This is an annual thing that we do through Food City. We do designate the the food certificates with either a turkey or a ham. That's all they can utilize it for, and those are $20 each. That way, we try to assist all the county employees. That is a total of $3,500 that I need for a motion for that.
I'll make it.
I'll second.
Motion and second, discussion. If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign? None.
Now, to help with the rest, the next on the county administrator request and the last is the Russell County 2009 vehicle surplus. I asked for a motion to surplus this to sell it.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Need a second.
Second.
Motion and second, discussion. If not, all in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, like sign?
Chairman, that concludes the county administrator request and reports.
Okay, well, we didn't quite make it before noon, but we're close. Any discussion, any board member want to make any kind of comment?
I would. I'd like to thank the DSS for handing out the Food City vouchers so well. You know, they stayed late, went well above and beyond, and they always do. Also, we were talking about the elderly white Christmas a few minutes ago. This is going to benefit people in long-term care residential facilities, the ones that, you know, they don't have family support. So, you know, Christmas time is really rough on those folks. But, you know, I know we gave money here, but also you as an individual can do that. You just need to contact Will Jesse at DSS. You can donate money, or you can actually get the list and buy for these individuals. His number is 276-883-5217. And the last thing, Cleveland Volunteer Fire Department is currently holding their Trail of Terror fundraiser, located on the swinging bridge at Cleveland Town Park. The admission is $10 cash per person. It starts at 7 p.m. and it will go, as they say, until the last person is terrorized.
Anybody else want to speak?
The only thing I have is the schedule of our next meeting.
That's good.
We, our church always goes to North Carolina and does the shoe boxes for the kids. And I was wondering if the night would be adequate for everybody.
I think isn't the St. Paul parade that same Saturday too?
December 7th,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
So if we could change it to the night.
It's
That's
an
up to the-
evening.
That's up to the
It's an
governing board.
evening parade. It's not that Saturday is not going to bother us.
That's at discretion of the board.
Well, I just wondered, it's a pretty good event. I love to go down there and participate. Anybody else that would want to go as well?
You was needing a meeting moved to the 9th, Dave?
Yes, sir.
9th is the Monday.
Okay, you want to move a board meeting?
Monday evening.
What about you, mate? You have the busiest schedule, I think.
Well, at least that meeting's after deer season.
There you go.
Praise the Lord.
Talking about
Okay.
moving it from Saturday to night.
We've
I'll make a
sat
motion.
here on the opening
I'll
day
make a
till
motion
dinner
to
time. That should be unconstitutional.
On the 9th.
Maybe we need Mr. Whopper to look into that.
Okay.
I have a motion to move the board meeting December the 9th,
Monday
6
evening.
p.m.
Monday evening, 6 o'clock.
Second.
And a second, discussion. If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And thank you all.
Just want to say,
There
Steve,
are no votes.
Steve, if I could say just a comment real quick. I want to encourage everyone to get out and vote. Today is the last day of early voting. The registrar's office is open on the normal hours it would have during the week. Today's the last day of early voting. And, of course, Tuesday is election day, so do get out and vote. Every vote in Virginia matters, every single one. We saw that in the governor's race 3 years ago, and I believe Virginia is in play. And I believe if we get out and vote in Southwest Virginia, we can see Virginia turn as well in 2024. So make sure you vote.
Anybody else?
Yes, Mr. Chair, if you don't mind. Last month, we had our ENS ordinance on our packet. It is not back in here again. Do we have an update on that?
Right? Yeah. Yes, apologize. Go back into that. I was trying to pack up. Apologize. ENS, right now, some of the components that we're looking at is I'm working with the building inspector, but we're also to make sure that nothing had changed from the state policy. One, to make sure that we're following state law. Second thing is we're looking at other counties' fee structures to be able to get this down to an appropriate, workable thing for the citizens of Russell County. So that's where it's at right now. So I have not put it back on the attorney's reports yet. We got a couple of things that's coming up in December, so hopefully we can put it back on the schedule again, either in December or January.
Okay, so the state is okay. I know we're out of compliance.
Well, no, you're not. I don't mean to correct you, but we're still having to legally follow the 2020 ordinance. See, that one is not appealed, so that's still in place. So we still have to follow the ENS in place, and that's what direction we've been given by DEQ and the rest, that we still have to follow the 2020 ENS, ordinances in the county that was approved by the board. Yeah, you didn't approve the new one, but you did. But yes, the state changed. It is. And actually, after, looking through some of it, it kind of, y'all can read it for yourself, but and the attorney can convey this to you. It gives some flexibility because it came in under to residential or not morally industrial or agriculture. It gives more flexibility.
Yes, the new code is better for the citizens and the business world and the agricultural world is under a different set of guidelines.
And it's very flexible for the farmer.
So this one, the new one, is we would be better off.
And Mr. Hensley had a good point, and we're looking at, he was concerned about the fees. Now, we're also looking at the fee schedules. The chairman and I have been meeting with the PSA and Mr. Eden and looking at the fee structures on that one too. So we're looking at the ENS fee structures and the fee structure with the PSA.
Okay.
We're going to have to pull that ordinance. We're going to pull that back out, pull it off the table, because I can see the first time, everybody has to follow state requirements regardless if we have an ordinance in place. So the first time somebody gets popped for being in non-compliance with the state ordinance, they'll say, well, I was following the county ordinance.
Right.
So we're not doing anybody any favors by, pretending like it doesn't exist. We're going to have to address it.
Well, legally, the staff, we're still following the 2020 ordinance. If you look at, you lay them side by side and do a comparison analysis, actually the newer one is a little bit more flexible for businesses and agriculture, but the core meat, as far as what we call NOV, notice of violations, is we still can get them to where they can sustain it, but we won't be able to do that long term, number one. Number two, and we're looking at fee structures.
Okay, Mr. Chair, another thing, you want to comment on that again? Sorry. I've got
do you all want to put it on the, do you want to put it on the December agenda? I mean, by then we should have everybody's input, all the stakeholders.
I think that we need to. The new law, or the new law that took effect, is better, from my view, and what I've been told by DEQ, is better than what we've got. We're a little more rigorous in places. I know the fee structure might be a problem, the agriculture community falls under a different set of guidelines
Why do
through
we
the,
need all these
through the
ordinances,
soil and water.
Mr. Wampler? Does state law require us to have all this stuff?
In other words, why can't we just follow state law?
Why do we need a law and the state needs a law and everybody needs a law? It's so redundant. We sit here and waste so much time over ordinances instead of doing anything important. And it's let's vote on another ordinance. Get sick of that.
I can work on providing a summary of the state's erosion settlement control law for the board if that's what you want me to do.
Why do we need an ordinance and a state law?
I would say generally the state passes laws, and then if they affect their localities have to implement those laws.
So our ordinances are we're implementing the law with the ordinance?
Correct, because the state doesn't have regulatory, well, I guess they do have regulatory authority. They don't have enforcement over E&S, erosion settlement control, or stormwater management. That's given to the locality to enforce and control. So think of it as an umbrella, and then you've got to have the counties individually go enforce the law. Usually it's a building inspector or erosion settlement control designee.
And the building fee costs, because you know a building fee permit here is much lower than Northern Virginia. So that's one of the components that's in there. And I think that's what they want to look at is the cost of the fees.
And another thing, is, since we're talking about this, and I think it's good to air this, I think we need to have these discussions. And the fee, I mean, I have no problem with the fee, but the fact of the matter is, the county it's costing us, the county, a lot more than $150 to do a permit and to take care of this. So you're underwater anyway, and you're going to be, and that's fine. That's a service we're providing. I have no problem with that. But I just want everybody to know that, you know, fees are fees, and being in compliance, and when the hammer falls, you can't do anything about a notice of violation, which Mr. Breeding pointed out. That's just a matter of time. And these are not $150. They're more like $10, $15, $20, $30, $40, $50,000 and more. So I think we just need to make sure we're in compliance with state guidelines for the citizens.
I'm happy to follow up with DEQ, who would be the regulatory authority, and make sure that we're where we need to be, and if we're not, what the steps we are, what we need to do to get there.
If you could please do that, Will.
Just make sure we're good.
Thank you.
Okay, also, Mr., I think his name is Josh Minton, came last month and talked about being able to access some property. And I saw him here today, but he didn't speak publicly. And I just want to make sure, is the county talking to the town to make sure that Mr. Minton is taken care of with his problem that he came about? Because I felt like he came back today.
He did, and we talked to him and Steve today.
That was in Honover.
Yeah.
Well, we've actually going to put it on the agenda for
Yeah.
at our next meeting.
I
We just
think-
want to get some clarity, communications with the town attorney. And I talked to Bill about it.
The county has an ordinance on a piece of property that was put on when the property was not a part of the town. The town is now amended it.
Annexed.
So probably
and
the
it took
easiest
over.
thing we could do is just kill that part, that little part of it, which throws it back into the town's jurisdiction.
Okay.
And one of the things that we gotta look at legally is the easement that's coming in affects multiple property owners, so that's why we need Will to take a look at that whole easement.
Okay, I just didn't want it to stay within our boundaries and cause him angst, because I think he's very sincere in what he's trying to do with his properties. I commend him for that, and I don't want to stand in his way. Next, Mr. Chair, and I'm through, this is my last one, is we have private roads that the citizens are sending to you, the county, about saying, well, we've got potholes. And I had one in last month's book I don't know how our citizens don't understand that they're on a private road and they can't get their pothole filled by the county, and we don't have any roads. So I don't know how we're getting clarity. I think we brought this up before. It ended up in another board book. I don't know who is calling these people and saying, I'm sorry, we cannot fix your road. You live on a private road. I had one in my district. So I just want to make sure.
I'm doing.
You're doing that
Yeah.
yourself?
So
Okay.
that way I have the inventory of what's, VDOT. I came from VDOT, so I can run through the routes, the inventory list pretty quick. So if we have it, or if I have an issue that's on a route that is not just the potholes, but if I have a tree down or they want paved, I'm working in. Actually, Ventura, David, we're just working on these private roads over in a section of both of them.
Well,
So,
we got,
hopefully we're working on those. But right now, we can put out a statement that there is no county roads, and there's covenants in your deed that stipulates, that is a private road. They are, because we pull every deed and every covenant that we come to. But right now, it's on a one-to-one basis that I'm doing.
Because if you're fixing county road, if you're fixing somebody's road with county money, I need to know, because I need that pothole money too.
No. This is not Buchanan County.
no,
We don't want to set that.
we've never done that. Yeah, we kind of.
No.
Remember, Lou, when we first got elected, they were taking the road grade right here to grade the property.
Yeah, there is no.
They said you can't do
private
that.
routes.
Oh man, line, we're gonna get strung.
No disrespect, Buchanan.
I'm gonna make
Okay.
Anybody else gonna think I'm gonna
Speaking
make
of
a
roads, we're gonna have a coal severance road meeting
First
week
week
of
of December,
December.
yes, sir.
So if anybody has any special requests, shoot me an email or something, or let Lonzo know so we can discuss it in the meeting.
And that's another question. In our fund balance, we've got like $1.2 million in coal road
There's
severance.
a button there. Now,
You've already obligated it?
well, you did.
You obligated 100,000 to
I think
the.
it's 700 or 800,000.
So
now,
what
Lou,
else?
you better make motion.
No, I'm teasing. That 100,000 of that went to Route 615, which Andrew knows about. That was that Lake Hollow, that portion of, not the old one, but the one that's under construction. Proceed with that. And then there's 150,000 that's dedicated to the Grand Pure Salmon. So
I thought that was 100,000.
It's 150.
Nate and I had that discussion. I think it was 100. Better check.
150.
And
It's
so the
150.
other was Road 615.
Yeah, Route
Okay.
615.
Y'all keep on, I'm gonna declare this thing adjourned.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Got a motion.
Anybody got
Second.
else? Anybody got anything else? I declare this board meeting adjourned.